3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Ready here.
Fire away.
A talking point from our colleagues on the other side that we're obsessed with the White House. It was Jay Carney who perpetuated the myth that it was 2 rogue agents in Ohio. It wasn't any of us. Was that accurate? Was that first initial line of defense that this is just 2 rogue agents in Ohio? Was that accurate, Commissioner?
Not that I know of.
All right, so that wasn't accurate, and that came from the White House. Who said there's not a smidgen of corruption? Who said that, Commissioner?
My understanding is that was the president.
It was the president. So that's Jay Carney and the president both inserting themselves into the IRS scandal. And you want to blame us for bringing the White House into it?
I haven't blamed you at all.
You just did, Commissioner. You just did.
All right, folks, that's just part of what took place last night at the hearing, prime time hearing, the House Oversight Committee. And we have a lot more of that to bring you. The chairman of the Republican National Committee, as mentioned, Reince Priebus, will join us momentarily to weigh in on all of this. Developments today, there was more testimony today, and the man who was in charge of the U.S. Archives, the archivist of the U.S., stated that the IRS did not follow the law with regard to Lois Lerner's lost emails. I want you to say that 3 times fast. Lois Lerner's lost emails. Anyway, so there's a lot to talk about. This is not going away. Ed Berliner and I were talking at the end of his show just a few minutes ago, and I just believe this is going to resonate with the American public. The media could go back into hiding on this issue, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they can hide on this issue. I think that this resonates with the American public, and it's going to stick around for a long, long time, because what we're seeing from this IRS commissioner, the average person, you or me, could not get away with. Let's go to the chairman, but first let's watch this.
I want to know why you didn't tell us you had lost some of her emails, because that's what we care about.
Can I give you the answer?
Sure.
All right. Our program was to complete the production of all Lois Lerner emails, complete the review of all custodians, and
but it's kind of important, Mr. Commissioner, to tell us when you lost emails for the person that we're focused on. Don't you think? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a more important question. Did you tell the Justice Department?
No.
Why not? There's a criminal investigation going on. Don't you think that's a pertinent fact that they'd like to know?
We have no evidence that there's any criminal violation involved.
I didn't ask you that. There's a criminal. The President of the United States said on May 15th, we got to get to the bottom of this. The Attorney General said we're going to do everything we can to find out what happened here. And you have information. You still have you talked to the FBI at all?
I have never talked to the FBI about it.
Don't you think it's a
You know, this is like, it's not Abbott and Costello, and it's not a comedy routine, unfortunately, folks. Welcome back. As I promised you, we are joined now by the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, this guy is one of the most arrogant, petulant people I've ever seen in any sort of formal hearing in Washington, D.C. It's unbelievable.
I mean, if someone could get Paul Ryan to perk up the way he did last Friday at the hearing, and other congressmen who normally are more low-key, I mean, this guy, first of all, just that question alone, just that little segment alone, there's a criminal investigation going on at the Justice Department, and he didn't tell them the information because he didn't see any evidence of wrongdoing. I mean, how do you not tell the Justice Department?
To add on to that, though, Steve, that not only do you have all of this surrounding the department, do you know how many open records requests for these emails they must have received through FOIA, legitimate document requests that they have been dealing with? Just to give you an example, just the RNC. I understand we're a political party, but we have been, we're in court right now over a document request for these emails that have lasted now over a year and 3 months. And they have, and just so that you understand how this operates, their lawyers have been responding to us for over a year, seeking extensions, one after the next, to respond to these document requests. So they have so many people surrounding these emails. So the idea that suddenly they just sort of disappeared and we didn't realize it, it is such a lie, because there's no possible way that all these lawyers could be responding to all of these document requests for years now, and suddenly now, oh, we didn't realize that they were missing. This is just a totally intentional misrepresentation, and potentially criminal. I mean, and that's why I think you need to have a special prosecutor here. I get all the blowback on who's going to do it, and it's not going to be. But you know what? At this point, you need somebody that has some kind of subpoena power and criminal powers to look into what was going on.
Absolutely, but you and I know that's not going to happen. Not in this Justice Department. And furthermore,
not, but go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just not going to happen, and I don't know even how someone will be held responsible. I mean, I know the Congress can impeach, for instance, a man like the IRS commissioner, but you need a Senate to go along with that, so that's not going to happen. Lois Lerner, you know, she's riding out the time.
If you win the Senate in November, and you get some authority on the other side of the street in the Capitol, and have a Republican Senate and you've got a Republican House, this isn't going away.
No, and
this issue's not going anywhere, and it shouldn't go anywhere.
And you heard the Congressman Jordan say, how could you withhold it from the Justice Department? And then he goes on to say, well, when is it obstruction of justice? You know, if you don't tell them for a week, a month, a year, 2 years, when does it become obstruction of justice? And that's a darn good question. I'm not a lawyer. And I'll give you this one, too. The head of the National Archives, or the archivist of the U.S., as his title is officially, David Ferrero, testified today, and he said the IRS did not follow the law on the lost learner emails.
And what about this? Now, this is a separate issue. I was speaking of Paul Ryan. I had dinner with Paul last night, and he was so hacked off at that hearing, and he was sort of surprised too how viral that video went. But I got to tell you, what about the idea of so many people out there right now that are dealing with the IRS that may not have the document or the email or the receipt from the the Salvation Army or the receipt from the church on the amount of the donations, which you've got the check ledger. I mean, all the people out there that are dealing with documentation and the IRS. Now, you don't want to let some intentional scoundrels go with cheating on their taxes. However, don't you think that maybe a little extra burden upon the IRS, where documentation is the issue, ought to be explored so that they themselves can suffer some of their own medicine a little bit on these things?
I think that's.
I don't know how they enforce this stuff.
That's a rhetorical question, and you're absolutely right. And I going forward, I think any fair court, based on what this commissioner has testified, not only what we just heard, but more of the testimony, I just think that it's only fair that it could be. I want the IRS defense. You know.
I mean, you sort of shift the burden on the IRS to prove why it is that the documentation. Or the extra burden of the documentation in question is necessary.
All right, well, Bill Kristol, not to interrupt you, but I just did, I'm sorry. Bill Kristol on the show the other day said that the Republicans should right now force radical change upon the IRS, to have the American public behind them, and also it would force coverage by the media of this whole scandal and what the Republicans would do. Do you believe that this is an opportunity to maybe change the burden, as you put it, or other changes, bring other changes by radically reforming the IRS based on this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we've had a lot of proposals out there. I mean, obviously, Paul Ryan's led the way on drastic budgetary changes that I think should be revisited, but I also think that changes like flat taxes and fair taxes and a total rehaul of our tax system is important and necessary. I am on board with all of that. Unfortunately, none of that happens with a person in the White House who is actually more interested in a European style of government than I think the way that our country was drafted and led to be run by the Constitution. So it's going to be very difficult to do, and certainly with Harry Reid on the other side of running the Senate, it makes it even harder. But I am on board with the idea of totally overhauling or ridding ourselves of the IRS and the tax code and coming up with a better system.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about Hillary. Now, regarding this, Hillary has separated herself from Obama, who is on record as saying there's not even a smidgen of impropriety here. Hillary said if the IRS is involved, it is a scandal. But Hillary has also made gaffe after gaffe after gaffe regarding the, her wealth, and she doubled down on that after taking it back. She said the really rich people, not to name any names, and many people said she was implying Romney. Who the heck knows? We got a minute and a half. Where do you think she is now, as and how the public looks at her, compared to how the public looked at her before this book tour?
Well, I think she's in much worse shape today than she was before the tour, and obviously much worse condition than she was 18 months ago when she was riding high at a 70% approval rating, and then now she's at 52%. I just don't think, Steve, she's really good at politics. I mean, after all of it's said and done, here you have a potential presidential candidate that the Democratic Party is clamoring around. She has a book rollout that is very well scripted, and you're in the news business. You know how this works. They set up all these interviews. They purposely chose the people that were going to put Hillary in the best light possible. They come out of the gate with Diane Sawyer, and Diane Sawyer pretty much kind of picked her apart. I mean, it was a terrible interview for her. She wasn't ready on the easiest question. She wasn't ready on the money question, which she's had before in 08, and she flubbed it. She wasn't ready on Benghazi. She flubbed that question. So, I mean, before you do these things, I mean, even before I do your show, Steve, the staff comes in for a few minutes and says, here's what we think.
It's the Malzberg briefing. I know. Unfortunately,
you get ready for things.
Absolutely. Reens, unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd love to keep you more. We'll do it again soon. Thank you so much. Always appreciate talking to you.
All right. God bless you. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Reens Priebus, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming back with the Malzberg panel.
If you want to shed the fat and sculpt your body to get that slim, sexy look of your dreams, then you need to stop working out.
Say what?
And start rocking out with Rockin' Body, the fun new body makeover system that was created by fitness expert and insanity creator Shaun T.
Rockin' Body combines dance and fitness in a fun new way so you can achieve insane weight loss.
I lost 30 pounds. Damn.
Abs, shrink and shape your hips and thighs, and lift and firm your booty, all while you're just dancing. All while you're just dancing.
I've lost 33 pounds. I feel sexy.
And now, for a limited time, the complete $80 Rockin' Body system is 75% off. That's right, Rockin' Body is only $19.95. We'll even upgrade you to express shipping free. Get the complete Rockin' Body system for only $19.95.
Call 1-800-718-8807 or order online at rockinbody.com. 1-800-718-8807. Call now.
If you've always wanted an adjustable bed, now you can shop by phone and save on a new Craftmatic. Call for prices and free information. There's no obligation. Discover our 30-day in-home trial. There's no hassle, no pressure, no pain. No salesman will come to your home. Watch TV, read, rest, and relax at a price you can afford. So call for prices and free information. We won't be undersold.
Call 1-800-686-3106. That's 1-800-686-3106. Call now.
Have you or someone you know developed serious complications from surgery using a transvaginal mesh? The FDA recently issued a warning that transvaginal mesh can cause serious side effects and complications, such as additional surgery, perforations, vaginal scarring, and mesh erosion or disintegration. Over 20,000 severe complications have been recorded, and so far there have been 2 jury verdicts totaling more than $830 million for injured victims. You won't pay a thing until your case is settled. Call us today.
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Your agency has a set of rules for taxpayers and apparently another set of rules for themselves. The American people understand that if they cannot prove that they did the right thing in their tax return 5, 6, and 7 years ago, it will be disallowed and they will pay taxes with penalties. Well, in fact, you maintain only 6 months of records and then apparently count on people, good and bad, to maintain documents they think are important beyond that, and you do so without safeguards to protect the American people from the loss of those documents.
All right, there he is, the chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee conducting those hearings last night and again today. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel to talk about all of it is the founder of Less Government, Seton Motley, and writer for the National Review, A.J. Delgado. Hello to both of you.
Well, hello, hello.
Hello.
All right, let's start with you, Seton. How would you describe what went on last night and part of today?
Well, you played Darrell Issa. I liked Trey Gowdy's takedown of Commissioner Costigan, who looks like Ayn Rand or George Orwell drew him. If that is
by the way, we actually played that. We played that earlier, and we got a lot more to play too. Yeah, Congressman, a lot of them going after the IRS commissioner. Yeah.
It is, again, it's the double standard of, rules for thee, not for me. It's also the brazen arrogance of the guy saying, yeah, we don't have it, and that's it. And denying obvious, Trey Gowdy's segment specifically said, Costigan said there was no criminal wrongdoing, and Gowdy blew that up. What statutes did you look at? What statutes did you examine to say that there's no wrongdoing? Well, none. So it's incredible hubris. It's what you get from government. It's what you get from a $4 trillion a year government with union rules, and public unions aren't unions. They're lobbies because they're not asking for profits. They're asking for government money. And rules that say you can't fire anybody and you're more likely to die in your job than get fired. This 40, 50, 60, 100-year culmination sits before the House Oversight Committee and in the embodiment of Commissioner Costigan.
Well, AJ, I mean, it went even beyond that. It went. Congressman Jordan was saying, "Who told you this about the emails, and the hard drive being gone and the emails being unretrievable?" He didn't remember. And Jordan was saying, "Wait a minute, this is the most important thing." He says, "Well, it was filing season. I can't be expected to remember who told me." And then, did you tell the Justice Department? No. Well, there's a criminal investigation ongoing. Well, I saw no evidence of wrongdoing. It's not his decision to make. I mean, this was what we witnessed last night with this commissioner is just beyond my comprehension that this man could get away with this.
Well, it's clear-cut obstruction of justice, and I'm surprised that term isn't coming up more. I mean, here you have somebody that in March went before the committee and said, we will hand over all the emails, even though they already knew that those emails were gone. And we finally hear them admit it only 10 days ago, buried in page 7. Oh, excuse me, corrected. It's on page 5. It was buried. It's outright obstruction of justice. It's, as my colleague said earlier, the amount of brazen hubris is remarkable. This were a court of law, he would have been found in contempt. The amount that the commissioner interrupts, the sheer attitude he has, gives away this is a man who's lying with a lot to lose, who knows he's not telling the truth, but he has that comfort, that cushiness of he's a government bureaucrat. He knows nothing's going to happen to him. This is the IRS in a nutshell. They can ruin Americans' lives with an email, but they're untouchable.
Well, that's why I've said over and over again, and many times on this program already today, that I believe that's why this is going to stick. Because as Paul Ryan made very clear on Friday, that he said exactly what you said, and I think that resonates with the American public. They now realize that they're getting excuses from the IRS that they could never get away with.
Thank God for Paul Ryan saying so, because I think sometimes in these hearings we're afraid of coming across as too harsh, and we must be very polite. But no, good on him for saying flat out, you know what? I don't believe you. He spoke for the entire American public when he said that. When I saw that clip, I was cheering for him. God bless him.
Seton, a lot of people, think that this might fade away again, but I think it sticks for that reason, because this is something that every American could relate to, whether or not they've ever been audited by the IRS.
I'd like to think it's going to stick. The problem is, Morning Joe this morning, Joe Scarborough was making fun of the fact that there was nothing in the first 14 pages of the New York Times on this hearing last night and today. Nothing. No mention.
I think it was on page 19 even, if I recall correctly. Page 19. This is bigger than Watergate, and it's on page 19.
Yeah, I think 18 minutes of tape is smaller than 2 plus years of emails for 7 different people. Yes, and it would. The answer is it would stick and would resonate with the American people if they heard about it. But because of the direct...
One more point on this, and that is that the National Archives boss testified today and said that the IRS didn't follow the law. Now, you could interpret that as broke the law. Said they didn't follow the law when it came to Lois Lerner's missing or lost emails. I mean, who ultimately, Seton, gets held responsible here, and how?
Nobody ever does. Remember the Benghazi, 4 people got suspended and they got brought back and shuffled around and had different name, different titles on their name plates on their desk. Nobody gets held accountable. The government, while we weren't looking the last 60 years, the government has built themselves an edifice of massive compensation for very little work with unbelievably secure job protection. And this guy knows it. Koska knows it. They all know it. They all know they'll be protected. The unspoken thing is with all these people is just hang in there and we'll ride this out and you'll still have your job and you'll still have your pension. There is no retaliation for this. There's no accountability for this.
When we come back,
just slide through.
AJ, you'll weigh in on who you think or might be held accountable and how that might happen, especially with the kind of Justice Department we have. And we'll get to you in a second. We're talking here on the Malzberg panel with AJ Delgado, National Review, and founder of Less Government, Seton Motley. If you want to weigh in, please do through social media, Twitter, email, Facebook, and here's how you do it.
I've always seen No No on TV and I always wondered if it worked. And it definitely, I can see what everybody talks about now.
It's not a razor. It's not a laser. It's No No from Radiancy, the #1 hair removal system in the world.
It's absolutely no pain.
Can't believe the difference, Al. It's almost hair-free.
No No gives you no hair with no pain.
Well, I saw it on TV and they said it was painless, right? I didn't really believe it, but now that I'm trying it, it feels completely painless.
And now, No No is better than ever. Introducing the new No No Pro. It's up to 35% more powerful. Imagine never having to shave again.
I like a close shave. Absolutely. And this is better than that. I mean, it's gone.
No more facial hair. No more embarrassment.
I've always been self-conscious of my hairline, so putting my hair back, this will be perfect for me.
And for that man in your life, there's No No for him too.
It looks like just like you've got a fresh wax, but like you don't have to go through all the pain.
Call now and we'll send you the cordless No No Pro in your choice of colors. Featuring an LCD display, it comes with up to 5 treatment levels. Plus, we'll include everything you need to get rid of your unwanted hair. A set of Thermicon tips, specially designed for your face and body. A buffer pad to exfoliate and polish your skin. Plus, act now and we'll send you the No No travel case as a free gift. And get this, you can try No No risk-free for not 30 days, but 60 days with our triple guarantee. If you are not 100% satisfied, return it and we'll refund the purchase price, refund the shipping, and even pay the return postage. Try No No risk-free today.
I need to get myself one of these right now.
Absolutely.
For your 60-day trial, go to nonopro.com or call 1-800-934-5335. That's 1-800-934-5335.
I live alone, so when I slipped and fell in the kitchen last month and couldn't get to a phone, that's when I knew I needed Life Alert. With just one press of this button, I'm connected to the Life Alert Center, where I can get the help I need, even when I cannot reach a phone. With Life Alert, I'm never alone.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 800-961-5220. That's 800-961-5220. Call 800-961-5220.
You want to attend college so you can pursue your goals, but you may not be able to afford it. At ITT Tech, we're doing something to put a degree financially within your reach. The new ITT Tech Opportunity Scholarship is now available to eligible students who qualify. We believe education is a sound investment. Make a choice that can make a difference.
Call now to find out about the new Opportunity Scholarship from ITT Tech. 800-453-0319. 800-453-0319.
Welcome back. I'm Francesca Page. Here's your Newsmax Now update. A strong earthquake hit a small island near Alaska on Monday, triggering a tsunami warning. The 7.9 magnitude quake measured very high on the Richter scale, yet caused no reported damages. The National Tsunami Warning Center cancelled its warning for hours after the earthquake. Local authorities are still on high alert. And a shooting in Miami's Liberty City neighborhood led to the death of 2 people earlier today. Miami authorities say the victims include a 20-year-old man and a teenage girl. Multiple others have been reported wounded. Local police say the investigation is still in its early phases. And as of right now, suspects have been found and a motive has not yet been determined. That's your Newsmax Now update. Back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, back with the panel. Seton Motley, founder of Less Government, and National Review writer A.J. Delgado. A.J., your turn to weigh in on how you think this will all shake out and who will be punished and how for the IRS scandal.
Well, I hate to sound pessimistic here, but I don't think anyone will end up punished. We needed the smoking guns that were in those emails. Obviously, there were smoking guns because of the fact that they were destroyed or lost. And without those, it's hard to have anything to go on. I would perhaps focus on the obstruction of justice angle. There's definitely one issue that has gone underreported is that they were storing these emails off-site with a contractor that they had, and they stopped doing so. Get this. Shortly after the House first began investigating what happened, they cut off that contract to end in 2011, covering the relevant period of Lois Lerner's emails. So if we could somehow ever have a smoking gun or someone who comes forward saying, yes, we deliberately canceled that contract in order to avoid Lois Lerner's emails being stored off-site, we'd have a case. But other than that, I think these people are going to walk. It's just as Stephen said, they have tremendous job security, and without that smoking gun, we don't have anything on them. As sad as that is. The good thing is, though, as Phil Crystal mentioned, we can at least, the bright side is, use this as a wake-up call for the American public to really push back and reform the IRS. And that's one upside.
Yeah, and I want to ask you first, Seton, very quickly, the chairman of the RNC, Reince Priebus, was on with me earlier, and he talked about how we could use this to overhaul or rid ourselves of the IRS. What are the chances of either of those happening?
Well, I'd like to see that. You see, we store our digital stuff in the cloud. The government apparently does it in the fog. Yeah.
I like that.
I'd like to see the IRS obliterated, eliminated. I've gotten older and wiser and realized we probably have to do it in stages. Hopefully, again, if we get enough of traction on this story, we can use this to fundamentally transform the IRS into a much smaller unit. There's push for tax reform as well, both corporate and individual, to make it simpler and flatter and more reasonable. And I think you can tether those two together, and that way you marshal a bunch of forces together that could work together on two tracks and actually get to some sort of IRS reform.
All right, A.J. Delgado, Seton Motley, always appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon. the Malzberg panel, ladies and gentlemen. And in just a second, when we return, we'll be joined by Benefshe Zand. She's a U.S. Iranian. She is a civil rights, human rights advocate, and she has a lot to say about Iraq and Iran and everything that's going on there, and some news to break for us as well. Now, we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, but first, today's American Moment takes a look back at the kamikaze attack on the USS Missouri in World War II.
Christened on January 29, 1944, by the daughter of future President Harry S. Truman, the USS Missouri was our country's last great battleship and rapidly became the pride of the American Navy. On the 11th of April, 1945, she was attacked by a kamikaze pilot who crashed his aircraft into her starboard side, causing minor damage, which can still be seen to this day. The Missouri's commander, Captain William N. Callahan, ordered the pilot's body to be recovered full military honors. Serving with distinction throughout the Great War and beyond, it seemed only fitting when General of the Army Douglas MacArthur chose her as the site of the Empire of Japan's unconditional surrender. On the day of the signing, September 2nd, 1945, General MacArthur put little trust in his former adversary, so as a precaution, he ordered over 1,000 Allied combat aircraft to fill the skies over Tokyo Bay as a warning to the Japanese. Should they be planning anything but complete and unconditional surrender, retribution would be swift and complete. With her decks filled with sailors and soldiers alike, Supreme Allied Commander Douglas MacArthur began the ceremonies. He took his pen and handed it to General Jonathan Wainwright. Wainwright was touched. He had stayed on in the Philippines during the 1941 Japanese invasion, survived the Bataan Death March, and spent 4 years in a Japanese POW camp. A new long peace between Japan and America had begun. Big Mo, as she was affectionately known, permanently dropped anchor in Pearl Harbor on January 29, 1999, and opened as a museum, forever commemorating the site where America's involvement in World War II began and where it ended. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.
Get ready, America! The Affordable Health Care Act is here, and it's got everyone asking, how do I find affordable health insurance that's right for me? The answer is simpler than you think. Pick up the phone and call I Can Benefit right now. Waiting for you is a team of licensed insurance agents who understand healthcare reform and can help you find the right plan to take care of you and your family's health, because nothing is more important. Have you been denied in the past? I have. Struggling to pay high premiums? Join the hundreds of thousands of callers just like you and let us help you find a plan that works for you and your budget. But I'm not stopping there. Call now and receive your free ICANN prescription savings card. Save up to 85% on prescription medications at over 60,000 pharmacies nationwide. Don't wait. Call now and get the answers you deserve and a price you'll love.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-2983. That's 1-800-426-2983. Call now.
At 69, I'm starting a whole new chapter in my life.
Lifestyle Lift, a life-changing procedure that helps remove wrinkles, frown lines, and sagging skin on your face and neck.
I have a younger look and a new look on life.
Look, almost 200,000 lives changed. Lifestyle Lift is the affordable way to looking years younger.
Nothing's better than a Lifestyle Lift.
Don't miss your chance for your free skin firming treatment. Call now because this amazing offer ends soon.
Every time I see somebody, you look so good, you just never age, I go, oh, thank you for that. You know?
Would you feel good looking younger and more attractive?
I haven't felt this good in years.
My name is Cindy. I'm 56, but nobody needs to know.
Don't miss your chance for your free skin firming treatment. Call now because this amazing offer ends soon.
Call now, 800-599-0771.
Don't regret looking older than you feel.
My name is J.D. Hayworth, and I'm employed as anchor analyst at Newsmax TV. As a free people, as Americans, there can be a unity of purpose, but it's not always unanimous. I believe what we have a chance to offer is a key choice. If you want a perspective, independent, American, original, free, it'll be here at Newsmax TV.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
The President of the United States is trying to move this process forward in what I think is a thoughtful and focused, disciplined way, so that we have a structure in Iraq which will give the greatest capacity for success. And the President reserves the right to use force, as he does anywhere in the world, if it is necessary, but he wants to do so, if he were having to do so, and it was the decision he ultimately made, with knowledge that there's a government in place that can actually follow through and guarantee that what the United States is working towards can actually be achieved.
All right, welcome back, folks. John Kerry speaking today, talking about the fact that bombing would not be right at this time. Military action would not be right at this time. We're talking to this party, we're talking to that party, we're talking to the people, we're talking to the allies, talking. John Kerry also told Fox News, and I want to quote here, that nobody expected Iraqi security forces to be driven out by ISIS earlier this month in Mosul. So, you know, there were warnings. There were warnings from many different people and many different groups. Joining us now to talk about all of this and Iran, which is a big elephant in the room, always is, and especially with regards to Iraq, is Benefsheh Zand, Iranian-born political analyst and human rights activist. Hello, great to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, John Kerry, what he had to say today, and in your view, what's being done or what's not being done by the United States.
Well, as usual, they don't deal with the causes, they deal with the symptoms. And so the bottom line is that anybody for now or any time who thinks that the Iranian regime has anything to offer in terms of solutions, that they would actually be good partners to deal with this problem is really misinformed and doesn't want to deal with the reality of Iran. Iran has actually been one of the main instigators of this problem. They have been the people, the force that basically has done whatever it could in terms of creating a proxy war, attacking Sunnis. They have done since the 80s when they were, you know, creating various little pockets of infighting inside Saudi Arabia. Then throughout the years, with the various proxies that they've had in Yemen, throughout Bahrain, the Gulf countries, and so forth. And so, at this point, this has become a situation where it has nowhere to go but to become a fully confrontational clash and a you know, straightforward Sunni-Shia sectarian war. That said, the bottom line is that I don't see how really putting more boots on the ground will help, because ultimately ISIS has now somehow coalesced with the Saddam Hussein Baathists, and though that's a very misguided thing for the Baathists, for the Hussein supporting Baathists to agree to and to get involved. ISIS is very much the Sunni counterpart to the Shia Iran. Nouri al-Maliki, which is practically, let's say for all intents and purposes, is the marionette that belongs to the Iranian regime, and the various US-backed Shia groups that basically have managed to take power were never meant to create a situation where they pushed the Sunnis to so far out of the power structure that now ultimately here we are. Iran is once again getting what it wants, which is the fight to go on, the sectarian Shia-Sunni war to go on. And Obama, as usual, doesn't know what on earth is, which end is up, and they're not responding to the situation. They should never have pulled the troops out to begin with.
All right, well, you talk about, Vanessa, you talk about the Sunni Shiite, sectarian violence, and that's what we're seeing, and that was inevitable. And yet, this administration talks about, well, it has to end. Iraq has to be a more inclusive government, as if even if that were to happen, it's going to solve the sectarian conflict, which, it's impossible to solve that conflict. It's like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, no one, so how naive or dishonest is it for this administration to use that as, a pretense before they take any action when they know that can't happen?
Right, and that's what I meant when I said that they're treating the symptoms and not the cause. The bottom line is that they aren't really peeling back the layers of animosity and really dealing with the bottom line history of this situation. They're not addressing the fact that the Iranian regime, for example, has been the main instigator of this fight, and they basically don't want to deal with the fact that you can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You really have to sit down and deal with every single faction and understand where the problem is and how it could be addressed and exposed. But the Obama administration has proven that it simply does not have the tools to deal with Iran, to address to explain and expose the reality of the Iranian regime. So when somebody like Rouhani is elected in Iran, or elected, I should say, with
right,
quotes,
quote unquote, yeah.
They think that that's the answer, that somehow is
right. He's a big moderate.
Yeah, that he's a big moderate. But the reality is that as long as you have Khamenei and the supreme leader in Iran, you will always have the counterpoint to Al-Qaeda. Everybody talks about Al-Qaeda being the big bad terrorist organization, whereas whereas Hezbollah and anything that is backed, for Jaish al-Mahdi, any faction, let's say, that is dealing with the backing of the Iranian regime, for that matter, is just as bad. They're two halves of the same coin. And the bottom line is that, unfortunately, the way I see it, the situation's gotten to the point where I honestly am of the opinion that however bloody the situation is going to get, it's a situation that is going to have to play out in the way it is.
Well, let me ask you. We know that Iran was already in Iraq.
Yes.
So tell me what their ultimate goal is. What would they like to see? Where would they like this to end? How?
Well, let me sort of give you a little bit of a history about the Iran-Iraq War. During the Iran-Iraq War, one of the commander of the Iranian military, the commander Rezai, at the time during the late 80s, because Khomeini himself wasn't pro-nukes, Rezai basically wrote a set of letters to Khomeini saying that, look, in order for us to be able to gain access to Jerusalem, we have to go through Iraq. And therefore, several other mullahs like Rafsanjani recommend that we need to develop our nuclear capabilities, at which point then Khomeini gave his blessings. And I'm giving it all to you in a nutshell.
No, that's okay, yeah, for time
but,
reasons, yeah.
But the thing is that ultimately when you look at it, the fact is that the Iranian regime's intention, its entire goal and focus from day one has been to be the Islamic pole. They consider themselves as the proxy of Muhammad. They see themselves as the people who are the standard bearers, if you will, of the 12th Imam, and that they have to prepare the world for the arrival of the Mahdi, of their version of the Messiah. So this is all a part of that in order to quash the Sunni and bring the Sunni under the banner of the 12th Imam and the Shia is their motive. And the fact of the matter is that there is no dealing with these people in any way other than to basically let what is there to play out, however ugly and horrifying it sounds, and it will be ugly and horrifying. But you know, Obama lost the window of 2009, letting the Iranian people bring the Iranian regime down.
Absolutely. And that was
we had every opportunity to bring that regime down. The regime was on its knees. It was completely frightened.
Right.
It was entirely possible to topple the you know, the Islamic
It started
regime.
from the beginning, not to interrupt, but we're up against the clock, Madam
Yeah.
Shahzand, and it started from the beginning of his first administration, and the mistakes have piled up right through, and many believe it has led us to where we are now. Thank you for your expertise and your interesting conversation. Appreciate it as always. All right, folks, we're coming back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You know what time it is. It's Gimme 5 time, so don't go away. Steve Malzberg, right here on Newsmax Television.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ben Carson. To save our health care, let's follow these principles. Our health is the most personal thing we possess. Its care must be under our control. Bureaucracy must be prevented from discouraging choice and innovation. Large-scale change shouldn't be imposed from the top down because you have the right to choose what's best for you. Your personal medical information should be your property, period. States should have the flexibility to develop their own options. You should be free to buy coverage consistent with your moral and religious beliefs. Physicians deserve to practice without the fear of frivolous lawsuits. Join me. Save our health care. Please sign our petition today.
Call 1-800-425-6299 or visit our website. Call 1-800-425-6299 and sign the petition to save our health care.
Save our health care. Sign the petition today.
American Legacy PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hi, I'm Mike Reagan. If you're a senior or baby boomer, you may be missing out on some important information. Tens of millions of boomers are set to retire, yet many don't know that how you file your Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect. That's why Newsmax created a special report offering you the best strategies to maximize your Social Security benefits. For example, this report reveals a weird trick that could help you add up to $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. It also shows how some qualifying recipients can add up to $1,000 to their monthly payments. To get your copy with our free offer, along with 7 additional money-making booklets, simply go online. Newsmax says this report is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to our website today and find out if you qualify to add extra money to your Social Security. Remember, it's your money. You deserve the most back in your retirement.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Is the gentle lady making a motion?
No, at this point, I just want us to get back to basics and to run this committee as it should be run, with respect and decorum, and badgering this commissioner, as virtually every member on the Republican side has done, is shameful. And it's got to stop. Or else I'm telling you, one member here is going to walk out and not return.
All right, folks, welcome to Gimme 5. That's some of the tactics used by some of the Democrats on the committee yesterday during the testimony by the IRS Commissioner on the House Oversight Committee, and it got better. I want you to listen to Congressman Turner, Republican, go after the commissioner, and then a Democrat will interject and try to save him. Here we go.
Which should be enough for you, a man of integrity, to pause and think, maybe crimes were committed within my agency, and now that these emails are missing, maybe someone not of integrity committed a crime in destroying them. You should call the FBI. You should call for a special prosecutor.
I cannot enter into Lois Lerner's mind. I've never met her as to what she...
I ask you to pick up the phone and call the FBI, not enter Lois Lerner's mind.
I am not going to call the FBI. The Inspector General has started. When the Inspector
Then that is an issue of your personal integrity, because the integrity of this agency and the concern that Americans have of it is at stake.
Okay, now watch what happens as this continues with number 30.
I don't think I've seen a display of this kind of disrespect in all the time I've been here in Congress, and it's unfortunate that anybody would have to be subjected to it. This is an incredible thing, a public servant being...
Would the gentleman yield?
No, I will not yield.
Okay, the gentleman will suspend. Is the gentleman...
No, I won't suspend either. I'm in the middle of my time, and I will continue to ask questions.
The gentleman will suspend.
Time. I won't suspend.
Please stop the clock. The time is suspended. I would caution all members not to characterize the intent or the character of your fellow members here on the dais.
But it's, yeah, I was going to say, but it's fair game.
All right, that got a chuckle out of the Democrats. Chairman Issa trying to maintain civility and decorum, and here's more.
With all due respect, the rules of the House the rules of the House speak to questioning the integrity of members. I would caution all of us that, well, the chair has questioned the testimony earlier as whether it was the truth or the whole truth, that in fact to question the motives of the witness should be done only on evidence, but to question the motives of your fellow member is in fact within the rules of the House, an action for which the floor can take down words.
All right, sounds good to me. Sounds like, you know, he knows the rules and he's expecting that they be followed and adhered to. And here on his white horse comes another Democratic congressman to challenge.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, of course.
Thank you. You talk about the rules of the committee and the rules.
The gentleman, use your mic.
Has the chairman violated the rules of the committee?
Please state your point.
Of the committee.
Please state your point of parliamentary inquiry.
When the chairman cut off.
The gentleman will state a point of parliamentary.
Has the chairman violated his own rules in the?
That's a question. Do you have a question of approval?
May he ask the question?
He'll state it in a point as a point of order.
Just let him ask the question, please.
I will not. State a point of inquiry. If not, we will go on. The gentleman may continue.
Oh, all right. And then here's how it ended.
I think the understanding here is the rules of the House say that members should conduct themselves in a way that reflects credibility upon the House. I think people watching this hearing today can decide whether or not that's been followed.
Look, I think people watching the hearing or any of these hearings involving the IRS commissioner, in fact, the whole IRS hearings, but specifically to the point of the testimony of the IRS commissioner, will see it for what it's been. The Republicans outraged that an IRS commissioner could withhold information from this committee knowingly, apparently willfully, and defend it. Defend the withholding of information. And that Democrats are then blaming this all on the government shutdown, blaming it on Republicans, blaming it on budget cuts. I think the American public could plainly see exactly what's going on here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
I've always seen No-No on TV, and I always wondered if it worked. And it's definitely, I can see what everybody talks about now.
It's not a razor. It's not a laser. It's No-No from Radiancy, the #1 hair removal system in the world.
It's absolutely no pain.
Can't believe the difference, Al. It's almost hair-free.
No-No gives you no hair with no pain.
Well, I saw it on TV and they said it was painless, right? I didn't really believe it, but now that I'm trying it, it feels completely painless.
And now, No-No is better than ever. Introducing the new No-No Pro. It's up to 35% more powerful. Imagine never having to shave again.
I like a close shave. Absolutely. And this is better than that. I mean, it's gone.
No more facial hair. No more embarrassment.
I've always been self-conscious of my hairline, so putting my hair back, this will be perfect for me.
And for that man in your life, there's No-No for him too.
It looks like just like you've got a fresh wax, but like you don't have to go through all the pain.
Call now and we'll send you the cordless No-No Pro in your choice of colors. It comes with up to 5 treatment levels. Plus, we'll include everything you need to get rid of your unwanted hair. A set of Thermicon tips specially designed for your face and body. A buffer pad to exfoliate and polish your skin. Plus, act now and we'll send you the No-No travel case as a free gift. And get this, you can try No-No risk-free for not 30 days, but 60 days with our triple guarantee. If you are not 100% satisfied, return it and we'll refund the purchase price, refund the shipping, and even pay the return postage. Try No-No risk-free today.
I need to get myself one of these right now.
Absolutely.
For your 60-day trial, go to nonopro.com or call 1-800-934-5335. That's 1-800-934-5335.
I'm Miranda Kahn with your Newsmax Now update. The nation's top archivist says the IRS did not follow the law when it failed to report the loss of emails. David Ferrero told Congress that federal agencies are required to notify the National Archives and Records Administration when they realize they have a problem. The IRS claims Lois Lerner's hard drive crashed and resulted in the loss of emails that Congress requested. Republicans question the timing of that hard drive crash. While Ferrero wouldn't say the IRS broke the law, he did say it failed to follow it. The IRS says it's investigating those lost emails. Also testifying on Capitol Hill today is White House official Jennifer O'Connor. Congress issued a subpoena for O'Connor after the White House refused to let her speak about the IRS email scandal. Utah Republican Jason Chaffetz asked O'Connor who she interacted with during her 6 months at the IRS. O'Connor said she didn't remember. Congressman Issa didn't appear to be surprised by her response.
Last night, the commissioner could not remember 60 days ago who told him about the importance of losing those documents. Last night, he could not narrow less than 60 days ago, within 30 days when he was told. I think that, in fact, the ability to remember at the IRS is simply limited.
And Congress is still struggling to get answers out of Jennifer O'Connor, who says she only learned about the lost emails 2 weeks ago. But we now know, thanks to the nation's top archivist, that the IRS did not follow the law. And earlier today, Secretary of State John Kerry met with Kurdish President Mahmoud Barzani. Kerry met with the Kurdish president while in Iraq, trying to convince its leaders that an overhaul of the Shia-led government is the best way to tackle the Sunni insurgency. Kerry hopes that support from Barzani will put pressure on Prime Minister al-Maliki to hand over more power to Iraq's Sunni and Kurdish minorities. However, some believe President Barzani will seek full independence from Iraq. And that's a look at your latest headlines. We have more coming your way in about 30 minutes. Now back to the Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hour number 2. And in just a moment, we'll be talking with Jason Riley, columnist for the Wall Street Journal, actually editorial page editor, and he has a great new book called Please Stop Helping Us, How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed. Then Dan Hampton, retired Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Air Force. He'll be here to discuss the feasibility of the United States using air power to quell the ISIS uprising. And he should know he has flown over 120 combat missions, and he has written a great book called Lords of the Sky, where he honors those who have flown those kinds of air missions in wars from Vietnam right on up to today. Dr. Larry Sabato, director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics and Sabato's Crystal Ball blog. He'll be here to discuss not only President Obama's sinking poll numbers, but also we have some primaries. Very important primaries coming up this evening. We'll talk about that. All that, Give Me 5, and more on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back, and we're going to be joined in just a moment by our guest, who I mentioned earlier, Jason Riley, who has a great new book out talking about why liberals make it harder for blacks to succeed. But there's a story out there, and it's written by Cheryl Atkinson, who we had on the show just the other day. We'll get more in depth in this probably tomorrow. We hope to have Cheryl back. The Obamacare exchanges. You know, we haven't heard numbers in months, probably. Remember, they reached their goal. We had big fanfare, and of course those numbers many believe were misleading. Well, she says there are fewer than 4 million newly insured people. Fewer than 4 million newly insured, and the government by now had hoped for 26 million newly insured. But we're going to go to Jason Riley right now, and before we do, let's all take a look at this.
You're repeating a talking point from our colleagues on the other side that we're obsessed with the White House. It was Jay Carney who perpetuated the myth that it was 2 rogue agents in Ohio. It wasn't any of us. Was that accurate? Was that first initial line of defense that this is just 2 rogue agents in Ohio? Was that accurate, Commissioner?
Not that I know of.
All right, so that wasn't accurate, and that came from the White House. Who said there's not a smidgen of corruption? Who said that, Commissioner?
My understanding is that was the president.
It was the president. So that's Jay Carney and the president both inserting themselves into the IRS scandal. And you want to blame us for bringing the White House into it?
I haven't blamed you at all.
You just did, Commissioner.
All right, the great Trey Gowdy, ladies and gentlemen. And as promised, we're now joined by Jason Riley. Jason Riley, an editorial board member at the Wall Street Journal and the author of a great new book, Please Stop Helping Us, How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed. And Jason, welcome. A pleasure and an honor to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, before we get to the book, and I want to spend the overwhelming majority of time on the book, your reaction to what we've been seeing here from the IRS commissioner.
I think it's a problem that's only going to grow for the White House because they're clearly not telling the truth. Computer experts don't buy what they're saying about the missing emails, and common sense suggests that the timing of this is just highly suspicious, that the emails of these particular officials go missing at this particular time, just as Congress is looking into it. I think it just raises all kinds of red flags. I've been really shocked at how, looking at the reaction from people like Dave Camp and Paul Ryan, who aren't exactly, part of the firebrand wing of the GOP.
Mild-mannered, yeah.
I mean, you have Dave Camp calling for a special prosecutor here, and Paul Ryan losing his cool. Tells you something.
Yeah, it really does. All right, well, we'll see where this all leads us, and we'll have more on this as the show goes on. But I want to talk about this this book, and I guess the first question, based on the title, that most people would want to ask you is, how do liberals make it harder for blacks to succeed?
Well, by having an inflated sense of what the government can do. to help blacks. I mean, one of my overarching themes in this book is that poor blacks need a man in the home much more than they need a black man in the White House. And what I mean by that is that blacks ultimately must help themselves. They must develop the types of habits and characteristics and attitudes that previous groups had to develop in order to rise in society. And to the extent that a government program, however well-intentioned, interferes with that self-development, it does more harm than good.
When the president, who is the first black president, stands up and if not making excuses, maybe that's the wrong terminology, but certainly gives reasons for, and I'm paraphrasing because it was his speech on race that he gave, I think it was after Trayvon Martin's verdict or right before it, where he talked about, you know, how he was, people looked at him funny in an elevator, people looked at him funny when he was crossing the street, coming towards their car, they locked the doors. But also he talked about the black community, where he said there are problems, there is high crime, but you know, there are reasons for that, and basically, you know, it went all the way back to slavery.
Yeah, slavery and Jim Crow are used as all-purpose explanations for all that ails black Americans.
And when the first black president says that, doesn't it give cover?
It does, and it's a shame, because he is saying to the black community, you remain victims, just like you were 150 years ago, just like you were under Jim Crow. Nothing has really changed, and it's a cop-out, it's a dodge. If you look at the data, if you look at the statistics, the black family, for instance, was in much better shape coming out of slavery than it is after 50 years of Great Society programs. Black labor participation rates were higher in the 1930s and 40s, even into the 1950s, before you know, we passed these minimum wage laws and other efforts to help increase black professions or blacks in the professions and so forth, prior to affirmative action programs, and all of these things. When you look at the history of helping blacks that the left in general has perpetrated, these policies have tended to do more harm than good. And I think, as the title of the book says, what we need is for the government to get out of the way, to stop doing the things that harm, that get in the way of the cultural development that needs to take place in order for blacks to rise in society.
Perhaps nobody is harmed as much, and there are plenty of white kids harmed by what I'm going to bring up here, but perhaps nobody, percentage-wise, is harmed as much as the black community by the teachers' unions, the traditional school, the opposition to charter schools, the opposition to vouchers. And here again, and I don't know why Mitt Romney chose not to bring this up, and I'm sure, you know, no one will ever bring it up but me apparently, but and some others. One of the first things Barack Obama did when he became president was he halted the voucher program in D.C. So the brothers and sisters of some of the poorest black kids in one of the worst school districts in the country could no longer follow in their siblings' footsteps and say, I'm going to be able to go to some of the best schools because of the voucher system. He stopped it. Right. He stifled that opportunity for black kids, and nobody talks about that. But beyond that, the marriage with the Democrats and the liberals to the teachers' unions has stifled education in this country. And again, I believe, and I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but that blacks have been disproportionately affected.
Oh, of course they have. And it also illustrates the disconnect between black elites like President Obama and the black rank and file, who overwhelmingly support vouchers and charters and school choice in all its forms and have for decades. Barack Obama has never found a public school good enough for his own children, either before he became president or since he's become president. Ted Kennedy, another champion of public education, never found a public school good enough for his own children. Again, yet these folks want to deny the same choices that they had for their kids, or that they are currently exercising for their kids in the case of the president, deny that to less fortunate blacks, to underprivileged blacks. And it is a shame. And you're right, it is a case of the black left siding with the teachers' unions, with the adults who run public education over the interests of the children. And there's no other way to justify what they're doing. I mean, you cannot justify teacher tenure laws that give a teacher a job for life after a couple years in the classroom and make her almost impossible to fire on education grounds. There's no educational justification for last in, first out, where teachers need to be fired based on seniority, not on whether they're good teachers. There's just no educational justification for those policies.
And you know, that's why I urge everyone to get the book and read it, because a 10-minute interview does not do justice. We should spend an hour on education. We should spend an hour on what we started out with. We should spend an hour on what I'm going to bring up now. And by reading the book, you can do justice to this very important topic. And let me ask you, you address in the book black leadership and the question of if Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today. I maintain that JFK would not be welcome. They always say Ronald Reagan wouldn't be welcome in this Republican Party. I don't believe that, but I do believe that JFK and his ideas would not be welcome in this Democratic Party, because it's totally different on every level. What do you think the black leadership that struggled for civil rights would think of, Jesse Jackson calling Trayvon Martin Emmett Till? I mean, my God, I'm white and I'm so offended. What does that do to the memory of a black boy taken from his bed and murdered in the most horrific way and dumped in the river, to call Trayvon Martin Emmett Till? So what would they think of today's so-called leadership?
Well, Martin Luther King was someone who thought blacks needed to succeed in American society, notwithstanding racism. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton take the view that blacks cannot be expected to succeed until racism has been vanquished from America. And what Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are really about today is justifying their existence. So they sort of scour the land looking for Confederate flag sightings, or someone somewhere using the N-word, some white person that is using the N-word, and point to it and say, look, nothing's changed, nothing's changed. You still need us to march, you still need us to do what we've been doing for decades to line our own pockets. But they're not really helping the interest of the black poor. A perfect example of this when it comes to black unemployment, which
we only have 30 seconds,
double the white rate for 50 years, double the white rate. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton side with the unions who want to block Walmart from building stores in low-income communities that would provide lots of jobs. They'd rather those folks stay unemployed that work at Walmart. That is not in the interest of the black poor.
Yeah, Jason, thank you so much. Such an important work. Jason Riley from the Wall Street Journal. Please stop helping us how liberals make it harder for blacks to succeed. I'd love to have you back and continue the conversation, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're coming back, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Dan Hampton, retired colonel, talk about Iraq and more right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Are you struggling to make ends meet because you owe more in taxes than you can afford to pay?
The IRS is relentless and will collect from you. They can garnish your wages or place a levy on your bank account. You have rights, and you can stop them by calling the tax resolvers.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now, and we will contact the IRS on your behalf. Help you end wage garnishment, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, resolve tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
It's a free call and a free consultation, but we can only help if you pick up the phone and dial the number below.
You wouldn't fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you resolve your IRS problems.
Call the tax resolvers at 800-489-3480.
If you want an adjustable bed, shop by phone and save on a new Craftmatic, the best-selling adjustable brand ever. Call for prices and free information. There's no obligation. Our everyday low prices are guaranteed. Compare us to the leading memory foam brand and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more. Discover our 30-day in-home trial. We won't be undersold. There's no hassle, no pressure, no pain. No salesman will come to your home. Convenient delivery, installation, and in-home service in the continental U.S. Watch TV, read, eat, rest, and relax at the touch of a button. Enjoy personal heat and soothing massage at a price you can afford. So why consider anything else? Discover Craftmatic for less, up to 50% less. Call for prices and free information and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more on luxurious memory foam. There's no obligation. Call now.
Call 1-800-686-3106. That's 1-800-686-3106. Call 1-800-686-3106. Call now.
Now on Newsmax TV. Is there a war on Christianity? Ben Carson says there is and wants you to take a stand. See Dr. Carson on Newsmax TV's Midpoint. Go now to Newsmax TV. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
It would be a complete and total act of irresponsibility for the president just to order a few strikes, but there's no government, there's no backup, there's no military, there's nothing there that provides the capacity for success. So what we are doing is a deliberate, careful, thoughtful approach, listening to the people here, listening to the allies, listening to the partner countries in the region, and putting together something that can work.
All right, kind of reminds me of Hillary Clinton. Remember when she ran the first time? She was on her listening tour. I think she did that when she ran for the U.S. Senate from New York. And that's what Kerry's saying they're doing. We're listening to the allies. We're listening to the people. We're listening to the sides. We're listening. Is it beyond time for listening? I don't know. I'm not the expert. But we welcome in a very proud man who could be called an expert, and I will call him an expert because he is an expert, and it's Dan Hampton, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, and he's the author, folks, of a great new book, Lords of the Sky, Fighter Pilots and Air Combat from the Red Baron to the F-16. And Dan, welcome, and thank you for being here so much.
Well, thank you, Steve.
All right, first, before we get to the book, and you know, it's really the first book of its kind. I'm very excited to talk about it. What's your take on what we're doing, or more appropriately, not doing in Iraq?
You know, it's way too little and way too late. It kind of sums up this administration's whole sorry approach to foreign affairs. This is the kind of thing that should have been handled 10 years ago. When we won in 2003, and in the first 6 months, critical year after that happened, it's way too late to do this now. I've lived in Kirkuk, I've lived in Mosul, I've lived in Baghdad and Basra, and I've seen it, and they're not going to solve it with the methods they're discussing.
All right, well, what would you, too late, what should they have done? Should they have, first of all, they should have left troops there in the first place, right? They should have had a SOFA? Yeah,
you know, if the government of Iraq had wanted us there, and we had wanted to be there, we would have insisted on it. There would have been a SOFA, and we would have stayed. Okay, fine. We didn't do that, spilt milk. The point is now there isn't anything really that can be done. Iraq is going to splinter, or it's not. You have to do damage control, and damage control does not mean pittering away with airstrikes or drones or anything like that. That's not going to work.
Well, what would work?
What would work, in my opinion, is to beef up the Kurds, the Peshmerga fighters in the north. I don't think they're going to declare an outright state yet, but they're certainly in a good position to. They control Kirkuk, and it puts them behind the flank, if you will, of the the ISIL guys. And they're not going to want to fight with the Kurds behind them. The ISIL guys are moving towards Syria because they need food, water, and ammunition, and that's really the only place they can go. So you need to get the Syrians to solve their own problems long enough, unite, if you will, to fight ISIS too, and now they're sandwiched and surrounded.
Is that feasible? I mean, as a layman, it sounds as feasible as when Kerry and Obama say the sectarian divide in Iraq has to go away. I mean, how likely is any of that to happen?
Yeah, this isn't something that's going to be solved by you or me or anybody in this country, so I think Obama and Kerry would be well served just to keep their mouths shut, because nobody's listening. All right, it is feasible if ISIL becomes the common enemy of everybody over there, which they are. I mean, they're so bad that even Al-Qaeda has said, whoa, you know, we don't really want anything to do with these people. And if we can get the Kurds and the Iraqis that are sitting on the fence and the Syrians to do something about it, then they will.
What about the, you know, General Michael Hayden on this show last week said Iraq is gone. It's not coming back. It's gone as we know it. And he believes that first, maybe just formationally, and then in actuality, there'll be three. There'll be Kurdistan, Sunnistan, and Shiistan.
Yeah, he's right in a way. I think I avoid making absolute statements because I don't want to ever say, you know, this is done.
Never say never, yeah.
But it's very possible. Iraq was never a united country. It was forced together after the mandate, and Saddam Hussein kept it together. Whether or not it stays or not, I don't know. The idea of a Sunni stand isn't going to wash, though, because there's nothing out there. All those border posts and everything that they've seized, they can have it. I mean, that's like the moon, only it's hot. There's no resources, there's no way to sustain life out there, so that doesn't mean anything. Kurdistan, on the other hand, is a very real possibility. And I've said all along, I said this 5 years ago in an essay for the government, that what Iraq really needs is a king. They need a constitutional monarchy like Jordan to unite them.
Interesting, very interesting. In fact, one more on this, and we'll get to the book. And I think we'll keep you another segment to talk more about the book. It's very brief. When you talk about living there and having been there, and then you talk about you see the cities that are falling, and some of them are the same cities, and you know that the Al-Qaeda black flag is hanging from these cities. It angers me as an American, but you're a better man than I for putting on the uniform, and it must do more than just anger you the way it angers me.
Yeah, and it again goes back to the White House and whoever sits in it, and in this case, the complete amateurism that's there, that has thrown away everything that was gained. Just like, you know, it was thrown away after Vietnam. Washington has a tendency to do that.
All right, let's talk about the book. Let's start talking about the book, Lords of the Sky. 20-year U.S. Air Force veteran. You flew more than 150 combat missions. You received 4 distinguished flying crosses. I mean, so you know what you're writing about here. So what made you want to write this? As I said, really never been done, what you broach in this book.
Well, that's actually why I wrote it. I am not one of those who believes that a war can be won from the air. You're going to lose a war without it, but you can't win it solely from the air. But air power, as we know it, and the development of it, is responsible for so much of the progress that we made this century. I mean, down to little things like, you know, Bluetooth today, that came out of aviation back in the Second World War. You know, and it's amazing to me that within 60 years of, you know, guys flying on those little underpowered canvas-covered kites, we could be on the moon.
Yeah, it is amazing. It really is. All right, but you look at heroes, you know, from World War II, from Korea, from Vietnam. How did you select who you wrote about?
You know, I tried to pick guys and pivotal events within each period, and then write about it from the cockpit point of view, and then tell everybody who's reading it, hey, this is why this is the way it is. This is why this guy's sitting in this airplane at this point in time, and why we're involved in this conflict. Because a lot of it I didn't know. And I figure if I didn't know it as a professional pilot, then a lot of other people might not know it either. And it's good to know history, otherwise we repeat it, right?
No, well, yeah, absolutely. All right, stay where you are. We're going to come back. We'll have another short segment, more about the book. We'll talk about some of the heroes that you do talk about. And we're talking to Dan Hampton, retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And he's the author of Lords of the Sky, Fighter Pilots and Air Combat from the Red Baron to the F-16. I also want to eventually ask him about drones and their use, and then what I just read a story where a woman saw a drone looking into her bedroom window. I mean, in one of our cities here in this country. Pretty weird. Anyway, so we're coming back. Don't go away. It's the Steve Malzberg Show, only right here on Newsmax Television.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh, yes. And that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new white paper entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new Don't Bank on It white paper now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
If you're under the age of 85, please watch this very important message about final expense insurance. While it's never easy to talk about planning for one's funeral, it is very important to do so for many reasons. If you don't have life insurance, a final expense insurance plan pays cash to your family for final and all other expenses. If you're unable to purchase life insurance due to a pre-existing or current medical condition, call us right now for information and a free consultation. Perhaps you can't afford life insurance because of your age or because you're a smoker. Call us now and we'll guarantee you coverage. There are no tests to take and it's very affordable. Rates will never increase, the policy cannot be canceled, and there are no restrictions on how your beneficiaries can use the money. Don't delay. Call right now.
Call 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474.
Newsmax Now update. The United Nations just released a new report stating the violence in Iraq hit an all-time high. More than 1,000 people, mostly civilians, have been killed in Iraq this month at the hands of Sunni militants. The new findings from the UN Human Rights Team in Iraq shows that the casualty rate in June is among the highest since U.S. troops pulled out from the country 2.5 years ago. A Hamas leader says whoever is responsible for the 3 missing Israeli teens is, quote, blessed. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is striking back.
Mashal once again made clear that Hamas remains committed to its war against Israel and its war against every Israeli citizen, and coincidentally, against every Jew around the world.
Israel has blamed the Islamic group Hamas for the abduction of the 3 teens. And that's the latest look at your headlines. Let's head back now to the Steve Malzberg Show.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, back with Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Dan Hampton, who, of course, is retired. And by the way, after you retired, you went to work for the government. You were on the ground in these places that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that's right. We don't call them mercenaries anymore. I was a private military contractor, as ambiguous as that sounds.
All right, well, not that we needed to add to your credibility, but nonetheless, I thought people should know that. Okay, so let's get back to the book, Lords of the Sky, of fighter pilots and air combat from the Red Baron to the F-16. And so you told how you found some of the people that you wrote about. Give us a couple of the outstanding men that you did write about and what stands out about them.
Well, one of the most interesting one was a World War I era pilot who then decided to, after the war was over, to go fight for the Poles in their war against the Russians. His name was Marion Cooper, and everybody would know of him because he survived, came back, and wrote King Kong, and then became the head of RKO Studios, which always interested me. I ran across a female fighter ace from World War II, a Russian girl whose name was Lilia, and they called her the White Rose of Stalingrad.
Wow.
Which sounded cool, and I thought, I got to find out more about this. And when I did, I used it to explain the war in the East on the Russian front in World War II.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
that is
There's
amazing.
a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, you know what comes to mind? The movie Pearl Harbor, which I happened to see a preview. They flew me on a junket back then, a press junket to Pearl Harbor, and I got to see the premiere of the movie on the USS John C. Stennis, and that was a big thrill to watch it. And I've seen it several times since. And the unit that Alec Baldwin headed, was it the Doolittle?
Raiders.
Yeah, is that as far as you know historically? I mean, is that an accurate portrayal?
Well, I think getting Alec Baldwin to play Jimmy Doolittle is a bit of a stretch.
I'm not a fan of his, believe me.
But the movie, yeah, I mean, they did
from a flying point of view, I mean, what they went through. I mean, of course, it's enhanced and there's poetic license, but I mean, those guys really, really stepped up and really did miracles.
They did, and it was really important because it was just a few months after Pearl Harbor, and they probably all thought they were going to die. And they did it anyway because they knew that we needed to strike back. That part of the movie, I liked the bomber part. The fighter part was kind of ridiculous. Nobody dogfights at 50 feet over the hangars. Yeah.
And one more, drones. We now have drones, blowing people up, blowing up houses, with suspected terrorists in it. We're in a whole new world now when it comes to aviation. You consider drones part of aviation?
Yeah, they're part of it. I mean, but to me, they're a tool, just like a bomb or a missile. They don't compete with fighters. They never will. They never can. I mean, you wouldn't get on an airliner with nobody in the cockpit, right? So drones are good for taking pictures, and I'll use them like that, but they're not going to replace us, so I'm not worried about it.
You asked me if I'd get in a plane with no pilot. No, but but now they're saying we're going to be driving cars that you don't drive.
That's even scarier.
I know. I can't imagine that. Oh boy! But when are the Jetsons coming? That's what I want to know. When we're going to be flying our cars?
Hovercraft.
Yeah.
I want one of those.
Anyway, Dan, great to see you. Thank you very much. And again, folks, the book Lords of the Sky. Read all about our great American heroes, written by Dan Hampton himself, a great American hero. And when we come back, Dr. Larry Sabato will join us. We got some primaries going on tonight, and one longtime senator and one longtime congressman fighting for their political lives. We will discuss that when we return. All that right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. But first, Chauncey Crandall with cholesterol tips.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a...
Imagine being able to clear your breakouts fast with a revolutionary new acne treatment that's actually good for your skin. Announcing all-new Proactive Plus, the combination of acne medicine plus ultra-perfecting skincare. Television star Kristen Ritter calls it a miracle.
I love the new Proactive Plus. It's fighting all my breakouts, and my skin is like porcelain.
The results are astonishing. Your skin is not only clear, but smooth and sexy. It's our smartest, fastest, most effective solution ever. And now, new skincare is in every step to balance acne-prone skin with needed hydration and more.
I have to tell you this is different. Just look at my before and after pictures. That doesn't lie.
So grab your phone and dial the number on your screen now, because today shipping is free. And get 3 free gifts, a $96 value for just $29.95. Call now.
You will love your skin.
Victims of mesothelioma and lung cancer caused by asbestos and their families may be entitled to receive a cash award from over $18 billion in asbestos trust funds now available. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by asbestos, call the number on your screen now. Even if a loved one has passed due to mesothelioma or asbestos lung cancer, you may still be entitled to a cash award. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer caused by exposure to asbestos. Many victims were in the Navy, shipyards, or power plants, or worked in the construction, plumbing, insulation, or automotive trades. Many more were exposed in and around their homes. For nearly 30 years, we have successfully helped thousands of victims and families get the financial compensation they deserve. Time is limited. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by exposure to asbestos,
call 1-800-290-4243 now.
Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic. Some will never return. With thy blessing, we shall prevail over the unholy forces of our enemy. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
You told us on May that you were going to give us all of Lois Lerner's emails, and you learned in February that this crashed.
I did not learn in February it was a crash, and we told you on Monday.
I'm not asking you a question. I'm just making a statement.
My apologies.
You are the Internal Revenue Service. You can reach into the lives of hardworking taxpayers, and with a phone call, an email, or a letter, you can turn their lives upside down. You asked taxpayers to hang on to 7 years of their personal tax information in case they're ever audited, and you can't keep 6 months' worth of employee emails?
All right, folks, that is now kind of iconic from the testimony of the IRS commissioner before the committee with Paul Ryan on it in the House on Friday, not yesterday's Oversight Committee. And joining us now to talk about all that, where it fits in the big picture, is Dr. Larry Sabato, director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics, and, of course, Sabato's Crystal Ball blog. Hello, Doctor.
Hey, how are you, Steve?
Great. Always great to talk to you, sir. All right, so let me ask you this. Obama's poll ratings, and these are all the polls. I mean, today we had another one come out, ABC, Washington Post. The other day it was NBC, Wall Street Journal. It's been Gallup. No matter what it is, Obama's ratings are in the toilet on just about everything. Do these, the IRS, Iraq, that all play into it? And is that going to continue to hurt him? And if he's hurt, does that continue to hurt the Democrats going into November?
Yes and yes. Look, here's what we say about presidential approval. It is a fantastic summary statistic that in one number tells you how the American public is viewing the incumbent administration and therefore the party he represents. You know, if you only had one number for an election, you would ask for presidential popularity. So all of this plays into the lowering of his approval rating, and as his approval ratings lower, Democratic candidates, especially in red states where you have most of the key Senate contests, those Democratic candidates will do worse.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Let me ask you about the IRS scandal, for instance. You know, I believe because of what we just heard in that Paul Ryan bite, you know, notwithstanding the arrogance, which many has interpreted as arrogance, including me, from the IRS commissioner in yesterday's, last night's testimony, and even back to Ryan's. I think what Paul Ryan, that confrontation with Ryan, makes this relatable to every American. Now, every American might not know about it, might not have seen it because, you know, there is almost a media blackout in certain circles, but I think they all showed that. And I think because people could, you know, relate to fearing the IRS, whether they've been audited or not, and knowing what they have to do just in case the IRS comes knocking and keeping papers, keeping records, I think that's going to keep this resonating for a long time.
Sure, it's hypocrisy. You know, it's do as I say, not as I do. You have the obligation to keep your records for 6 or 7 years, but of course we don't have that obligation, even though it's written into law. We're supposed to have a paper backup, I believe. Aren't they supposed to have a paper backup of all of the emails that are sent?
Yes.
So suddenly, you know, as a lot of people have got a new excuse when they're called in for their audit. They may bring in that video clip of Paul Ryan.
The IRS excuse, right? The
Yeah,
defense,
the
the
IRS
IRS
excuse.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to fly or not, but that's going to be interesting. All right, so also Iraq. The new poll out today, the ABC News Washington Post poll shows that, you know, people are dissatisfied with the way he's handled Iraq. All of this, right? I mean, all of these things. And you know what? I got to say, what I think about most immediately is if they're unhappy with Barack Obama on all these various issues, how, looking ahead, if Hillary's the nominee, does she separate herself from all these same issues and all these basically same policies?
Yes. First, don't forget about the Veterans Administration scandal.
Yes.
I think that actually has more impact than any of the others, simply because Americans care about those 23 million veterans. They care about the 8 to 9 million that use VA health care. That is a basic promise that we give to soldiers and their families, the soldiers that go abroad and risk their lives to protect the rest of us. So it's a unifying scandal. You know, some scandals upset only Republicans. Some scandals upset only Democrats. This scandal upsets Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Now, as far as Hillary is concerned, I have heard many times from Hillary supporters and even some of her staff members that she'll be able to separate herself from Obama because she's going to say, I'm going to be more like that president you had in the 90s. You may know him. He's otherwise known as my husband. That really doesn't work. The whole history of presidential elections tells us that when people are voting for a successor, they retrospectively review the record of the incumbent president. If they want to continue that president's record, say with Ronald Reagan, they elect George H.W. Bush. If they don't want to continue that president's record, as with George W. Bush, they elect the opposite party's candidate, Barack Obama. I don't think she's going to be able to change history.
Especially, Larry, because she, you know, she wasn't vice president, but she served as Secretary of State for 4 years.
Yeah, no, she owns the Obama administration, no matter what she says.
Yeah.
You know, she could say, oh, I would have done that differently, I would have done that differently. Well, then the Republican nominee, whoever that turns out to be, can turn and say, well, why didn't you resign? If you felt so strongly about that, why didn't you resign? You could have had a difference. You could have made a difference if you'd done that.
Absolutely. Let me ask you one more about her before we move to some of the primaries, big primaries that are on tap for tonight. And one question is, you know, she made this gaffe on we were flat broke. She then then corrected herself, or tried to, then went on and told the British newspaper, you know, well, we pay this kind of tax and not like the real rich people, or the whatever she said, and put a foot in her mouth again. And today, Bill Clinton comes to her rescue, and again, it's almost like it reminds me of, you know, what Clinton speak, because he technically, or whatever word he used, sure, you know, she's right in what she said. Now, why would he go there? Why would he keep it going? Why wouldn't he just say, you know, look, we're well off, we're blessed, whatever Hillary said, you know, I'm sure she didn't mean it, but why would he go, well, you know, technically, according to the letter of what she said, she was right.
We're back to the meaning of is. Look, when I heard her say that, I just laughed out loud, because they are easily top 1%. I'd say it's probably 1/10 of 1%. I mean, who else do you know that can make $200,000 or $250,000 for giving a canned speech?
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Clinton, I believe, has made over $100 million just with speeches since he left office. It just shows really that there are aspects of their personalities that will come into play again in 2016, as they did in 2008. Remember Bill making all those gaffes on the campaign trail and causing problems for Hillary? Why has that changed? I don't think it has.
Very interesting. All right. We got a big race in coming up tonight, a bunch of primaries, and you give the slight edge, at least the last I looked, to Chris McDaniel over the incumbent Thad Cochran. Do you believe that's how it's going to wind up?
Well, it should, simply because it is extremely rare for a challenger to force an incumbent into a runoff and actually lead the incumbent in the first primary and not win in the runoff primary. I mean, it's exceedingly rare. Doesn't mean it can't happen. And I got to tell you this, somebody has awakened Thad Cochran. It must be, the establishment supporters that he has. He's run a much better campaign during the runoff period than he did prior to the first primary. So they've made a bipartisan coalition with some African Americans, some Democrats, some independents to come into the Republican primary, which is legal in Mississippi. Democrats can vote in the Republican primary and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question that Cochran could pull this off, but every indication from history is that McDaniel would win the runoff primary.
What's better for the Republicans? What should the Republicans hope for? Not if you're a Tea Party fan or you're not a Tea Party fan, but as far as the general election, does it matter?
Yeah, if you let me leave ideology out of it totally and issues out of it totally, I would say Cochran would be the easier nominee because we would classify it as safe Republican. There's zero chance the Democrat could win against Cochran. There is, I'd say, a 25 to 30% chance the Democrat could win against McDaniel, simply because he does say controversial things. And remember, in the past several cycles, there have been Republican nominees who've made serious gaffes and as a result have lost the seat.
Oh, yeah. One more for you very quickly, and it's taking place right here in the backyard of where I sit, and that's Charles Rangel. He barely won out last time, and now it's, he's got a Hispanic opponent, and the demographics have changed in his district. What do you say?
Well, look, he should have retired. That's what I say. He should have retired. The voters gave him a hint 2 years ago. Yeah. He was in for 21 terms, going for the 22nd, and the voters renominated him by 1,000 votes.
Yep.
If that isn't a hint, I don't know what is. But they just can never give up. So he's 84, and he's going for his 23rd term. Don't be surprised if he wins it.
Yeah, we will see. Hey, Doctor, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I enjoyed talking.
Thank you. Dr. Larry Sabato, folks. Next up, it's Give Me 5 right here on Newsmax Television, Steve Malzberg Show.
I've got a small business, and everybody said you should be promoting it with Facebook.
Well, I use Facebook for myself, but I had no idea how to use it for my plumbing business.
Then I heard about web.com.
They told me they would build a professional Facebook page for my business free.
So I gave them a call.
And then they built me a Facebook page for free. I couldn't believe it.
If you call web.com now, you can have a new Facebook page built for your small business free. We even write posts for your Facebook page that will get people talking about you.
It's like I have this whole big social media department for my business.
Call now and web.com will build your new Facebook page free. Then we'll continue to bring you new fans, write posts for you, and report on results, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
Now people call me and say, I found you on Facebook. How cool is that?
You say it, we build it free.
Call 1-855-235-7998 today.
Any flashlight can throw a beam, but not even this floodlight is bright enough to light up a room. Now there's the Torchlight from Bell & Howell, the high-tech portable light that's really big on brightness. Look, ordinary flashlights just have a narrow beam, but the Torchlight has a brighter, wider beam that brilliantly lights up the entire room. Even when the power goes out, you won't be left in the dark because its 28 ultra-bright LEDs give you over 100,000 hours of bright, reliable light. It's like having nature's own sunlight at your fingertips. Its high-powered magnetic base lets you securely attach it to any metal surface to give you a steady, bright light that brilliantly lights up your entire work area. It's like having an extra pair of hands. It's so powerful it can lift up to 2.5 pounds. And with its bright light, there's no easier way to quickly pick up dropped nails and screws. And look, the Torchlight is also a flashlight. Its 5 white LEDs give you a clear, bright light to easily see wherever you go. The sturdy base keeps the torchlight in place exactly where you want it. And the articulating arm has 6 preset positions that let you tilt the light an incredible 180 degrees to give you total lighting coverage. Use it at your computer, as a table lamp, or to light up those dark, unlit areas. Better yet, with the built-in hook, you can hang it anywhere and rotate it 360 degrees to give you light wherever you need it. While its rugged construction makes it impact resistant and weatherproof too. And now the Bell & Howell torchlight is yours for just $10. But wait, call now and we'll double your order. That's 2 for the price of 1. Just pay separate processing and handling. Order your torchlight now.
To order your torchlight and receive a second one free, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-715-4500. That's 1-800-715-4500. Call now.
Life can hit you with the unexpected. Forcing you to make difficult decisions. Leaving you feeling helpless. You don't have to lose your home. It's time to take control. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling can help. The NFCC is a nonprofit organization that has been providing quality financial counseling and education for 60 years. Our national network of community-based member agencies have helped millions of consumers with foreclosure prevention. Seek advice from our certified housing counselors today. Call us or visit mortgagehelpnow.org. Real solutions for real people.
She's been called the People's Justice, one who throws out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. Hangs out on The View. Call me Sonia. And just last weekend, there's Sonia Sotomayor shopping at Costco. And you run right into Hillary Clinton.
It was not planned, I can assure you. I promise. Everybody's telling me there were signs out front. And I went through the side door, so there were no signs at the side door. Hence, I didn't know.
All right, welcome to Give Me 5, folks. George Stephanopoulos sat down with Judge Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice, talk about her new book, and apparently a meeting she had at Costco with Hillary while Hillary was signing her book. She went through a side door at Costco. I wonder if that's like a security door or something, or if she goes in like normal people. I don't know, but here's more on Hillary.
And a nice lady at the pharmacy counter recognized me, and we started chatting, and she says, "Are you here with the other lady?" And I said, "What other lady?" And she mentioned Madam Secretary, and that's how I found out.
All right, so that's the Hillary deal. Now, as far as you know, going back and forth with her fellow justices,
some of my colleagues have a more pugnacious writing style than others.
Justice Scalia?
Well, no, I've got. We've got others too. And it can be fun sometimes to spar.
Yeah, I could imagine it would be fun to spar. Here's more from Sotomayor.
But what does qualifications mean in an academic setting? A place like Princeton could fill their entire beginning freshman class with students who have scored perfectly on undergraduate metrics. They don't do it because it would not make for a diverse class on the metrics that they think are important for success in life.
All right, she's talking about the affirmative action case, the recent decision, which she was in the minority on. She still thinks affirmative action is important, and talking about Princeton, I'll assume she's accurate. I really don't know what the qualifications to get into Princeton are, but what you should do is take those who are most qualified. And yes, academic qualifications make you the most qualified, in my view. And not ethnicity, not where you grew up, because let's face it, when they talk about diversity, liberals, they mean color, okay, gender, race, ethnicity. They don't mean diversity of ideas, otherwise they'd have quotas for professors, because those are the ones putting forth the ideas. You know what's going on college campuses all over the place. Now, a woman president?
We talked about the difference a woman justice makes. Do you think a woman president would make a big difference?
Oh, probably at least in some little girl's perceptions of herself. And that's important to know.
And you've seen that as a justice?
I've seen it as a justice. I can't tell you the letters I've gotten from children talking about the impression that having me on the court has made on them.
All right. Very important to have little girls believe they could be president. So let's just elect a woman president. Doesn't matter really who it is, as long as she's a woman. Now, this is consistent with Sonia Sotomayor, in my view. First of all, here's what she said in 2001 about the courts. Listen.
You also write in your book about some of the sexism you face even as a prosecutor. Any as a Supreme Court justice, or does it go away?
It hasn't happened in a while where someone called me honey, but you know, people did when I was on the federal bench below.
On the federal bench?
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that the marshal who called me honey thought it was a term of endearment, but I'm equally sure that he would not find a term of endearment or use it for a male judge.
All right, that was the sexism comment, but watch what she said in 2001 about the role of the courts.
Court of Appeals is where policy is made, and I know this is on tape, and I should never say that because we don't make law. I know. Okay, I know. I'm not promoting it, and I'm not advocating it.
All right, so policy is made. She shouldn't say it. She shouldn't admit it. Policy is made. Then she said this. Watch what she said in 2001. It's on the screen right here. I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experience would more often than not reach a better conclusion as a judge than a white male who hasn't lived that life. To me, that is one of the most racist statements I've ever seen. I said it when I first became aware of it, and I'll say it now. What do you think? On the Steve Malzberg Show.
These are real-life emergencies. They happen suddenly, unexpectedly. You can be lost, alone, or in control. You can have help at the push of a button.
This is Medical Alert. How may I help you?
Announcing Medical Alert, the personal alarm system. Medical Alert is there for you in minor emergencies, too.
Hello, this is Medical Alert. How may I help you?
I'm not feeling well. I'm lightheaded.
Do you need an ambulance, Julie?
Please, no fuss. Can you call my neighbor, Gladys, for me?
Right away.
I know my children worry about me being alone, but I'm not really alone with my Medical Alert.
Call now for your free consultation to see if Medical Alert is right for you. You'll get this keychain flashlight free just for calling and be eligible to get this second emergency button and this locking key box free with your order.
For your complete medical alert system with the free keychain flashlight, call 1-800-531-6754.
I was having trouble getting out of bed in the morning because my back hurt so bad.
The Sleep Number bed conforms to you. Wake up in the morning with no back pain.
Do you toss and turn, wake up with back pain? If so, call us now.
You'll learn how the Sleep Number bed helps relieve back pain by allowing you to adjust the firmness and support to conform to your body for a more proper spinal alignment. Just look at this research. 93% of participants experienced back pain relief. Plus, it's a great value because it costs about the same as an innerspring, yet lasts twice as long. So if you want to sleep better or find relief for your bad back, call now.
Call 1-800-976-7120 for your free information kit with brochure, price list, and models. Call now and we'll include a free $50 savings card. Call 1-800-976-7120 now for your free information and this free $50 savings card. Call now.
And welcome back. Once again, I'm Miranda Kahn with your latest Newsmax Now update. A newly released memo sheds light into the killing of an alleged American terrorist. Yesterday, the federal court released a 41-page memo which justifies the drone killing of alleged American terrorist Anwar al-Awlaki. The memo looks at the legal framework inside the Obama administration's program surrounding targeted killings. A 2001 law passed by Congress after 9/11 gives the president power to use force against organizations that plan and commit attacks against the U.S. And according to the latest New York Times CBS poll, a majority of Americans disapprove of President Obama's foreign policy agenda. In fact, 52% of Americans say they don't like how Obama is dealing with the ongoing violence in Iraq. And across the board, 58% of Americans disapprove of Obama's foreign policy strategies. The president's overall approval rating now stands at 40%. Still, 51% of voters support his decision to send 300 military advisors to Iraq. New reports show the Department of Veterans Affairs ignored whistleblower complaints surrounding the lack of treatment veterans received at its facilities. In a 6-page letter to President Obama, Carolyn Lerner, the head of the Office of Special Counsel, said the VA was aware of unsanitary medical equipment, unlawful narcotics, and elevated levels of bacteria throughout facilities across America. The letter to President Obama also reveals that one patient waited 7 years for care after being admitted to the VA. The White House says it will provide the VA with more money to help resolve its backlog issues. And that is your latest.
All right, folks, final hour of today's Steve Malzberg show, and we hope to be joined by Congressman Blake Farenthold. He is a member of the House Oversight Committee, and he is also a member of the House Tea Party Caucus. He was involved in those hearings that were aired last night in prime time, and the hearings that the Oversight Committee also held today. So we look forward to hopefully speaking with him. Also, Cleta Mitchell. She is representing many groups that have been targeted by the IRS. She'll be here to share her reaction to last night's House Committee hearing as well. Tim Graham, Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center. He'll discuss with us the recent interview that the Obamas did with Parade Magazine, and also the media's reaction to the IRS scandal. All that, you got your Gimme 5 and more on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, I just want to bring you up to date on some issues as we await the arrival, hopefully, as I said, of Congressman Blake Farenthold. There's a lot going on for him right now in the House, and hopefully he will have time for us in this segment. But let me bring you up to date on something that we haven't managed to talk about in the past few days. We have spoken to the mother of our brave Marine who is being held in a Mexican prison on several occasions, as recently as last week. But there's some new news, and I view it as kind of disturbing. The attorney for our brave Marine, Andrew Tamarisi, says that supporters of the Marine Sergeant need to be patient. I want to bring you the correct quote. I would ask people to be patient. There's going to be an outcome. I hope it's an outcome everybody likes, but it's not going to be tomorrow. And he says that the case is a long way from being resolved. Now, I got to tell you, I'm with his mom. I'm with the sergeant's mom, not the lawyer's mom. I don't know her. I'm with the sergeant's mom. And I don't understand. You see, I thought Mexico was our ally. Okay? I thought Mexico was our ally. Here we have an active duty U.S. Marine who made a wrong turn, didn't see a sign, whatever, winds up across the border, there are guns in the car, okay, big deal. We can't get him back. He's treated like garbage. Yet, Mexico sends every single day illegals over the border to our country. They tell them how to come, how to beat the system, how to beat the border guards, where to cross, and we're supposed to welcome them with open arms and love them, and we have great relations with Mexico. Someone explain that to me. Someone explain that to me. All right, we're joined right now, I'm very happy to say, by Congressman Blake Farenthold. Before we are joined by him, though, let's watch him in action.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. And there's a lot of passion on this, especially on my side of the aisle. I was at home this weekend, and it's all anybody was talking about. The American people don't believe for a second that this stuff was lost accidentally. Mike Richline, a friend of mine, used to work at my computer consulting company, still in the business, email me, Blake, there's no way this could happen. You got to do something about it. And that's the frustration that I'm getting from the American people.
And Congressman, welcome aboard, sir, and thank you for making the time. Boy, you were pretty tame compared to some of the other members of your committee.
Listen, the facts speak for themselves. We don't need to be yelling and screaming and beating on our chests when anybody with a lick of common sense knows that email just doesn't disappear like this.
Email doesn't just disappear, and the head of the IRS says, I don't remember who told me they disappeared. I didn't tell anybody, not even at the Justice Department, where I knew there was an investigation, a criminal investigation ongoing, because I didn't see any evidence of criminal activity. Well, you didn't see the emails. I mean, it's enough to make me lose my temper. So what did you take out of yesterday and then today, the archivist of the United States saying that the IRS did not follow the law when it came to keeping copies of the email? I mean, the list just keeps on growing, doesn't it?
I'm flabbergasted. If we'd done this in the private sector and, had gotten a government order to preserve data, and we hadn't immediately taken action to preserve data, Trey Gowdy really hit on it. When you can't produce the data that you're required to produce, the jury is entitled to take a negative inference from it. The email isn't there probably because it had bad stuff in it.
Yeah. All right. Well. I mean, what was the most shocking? What you think of? You talk about your fellow committee members not needing to pound their chest and get angry because the facts speak for themselves. What about the presentation of the IRS commissioner who, wasn't he installed to try to fix things?
Listen, he was supposed to be a guy of the highest integrity who both sides of the aisle trusted. And I don't know what it is when you come in contact with this White House, what happens to your ethics and your moral compass?
Well, he refused to apologize. He fought back. He claims he did nothing wrong, nothing unethical. He see no evidence of impropriety or anything of that nature. He did admit, however, and I think this is noteworthy, if not newsworthy, Congressman, hope you'll agree, or maybe not, that, and I forget which congressman it was that got him to admit this, that it wasn't just a couple of guys in Cincinnati, as the White House had said, and he even basically almost got him to admit that the president was wrong when he said there wasn't a smidgen of impropriety.
Well, again, I think the fact that they're stonewalling on every possible avenue speaks volumes. And listen, I know in our system of government you can't draw any inferences from somebody pleading the Fifth Amendment. But I think we need to offer Lois Lerner immunity and find out what she really knew.
All right. Well, I mean, so you think? Is this a deal still workable? You give her immunity. Do you need to know as a committee what she knows before you give her that immunity? What she's willing to say?
And that's what I think. That's where the negotiating has broken down. They need to give us some idea what she's going to say in exchange for immunity, and they're not willing to do that. Now, if I would take the immunity offer, but I guess you got to be worried about the repercussions from the White House.
Well, not only that, Congressman, with all due respect, what is she afraid of? The Justice Department's not going to send her to jail. They're not going to prosecute her.
I don't know if they think she's turned on the president. Katie barred the door. I think you just don't know what.
Oh, no. I understand that. What I mean is, what's wrong with her maintaining the status quo, just keeping quiet and going on with her life?
Yeah, the ball's in our court. We've got to do something, and that offer of immunity may be what it takes. Maybe we find a way to some other ways to get her to testify. We've got to continue to investigate this. As frustrated as I am with the Obama administration, I believe the majority of the American people are good, honest folks, and somebody within the IRS or somebody who knows what's going on is going to come forward as a whistleblower. It's only the right thing to do.
Well, we've had it in several other instances, certainly with the veterans scandal, and the latest there is that as recently as not too long ago, once the news was already out, they still fudged the books and the numbers, and more people died apparently or reportedly while waiting and being denied medical treatment. But I want to get back to this for a second. What can Congress do? If Lois Lerner does not cut a deal with you guys, what can, and the Justice Department does not prosecute anybody, what can, if anything, can Congress do to hold somebody responsible for this?
Well, this is the ultimate challenge. What do you do when you have an attorney general that's not cooperative? Historically, the Justice Department has been Congress's ally in fighting wrongdoing in government. But under this Justice Department and Eric Holder, rather than being the people's attorney, Eric Holder sees himself as the president's attorney, and he'll do anything to defend the president. We're kind of in uncharted territory when you don't have a cooperative Justice Department.
Yeah, I know. So legally, there's nothing that you could tell me, because it probably doesn't exist. I don't mean you don't know. Legally, there's nothing you could make me and the viewers feel better and say, well, we could do this, and and as a result, so-and-so could maybe go to jail.
Congress's job is to pass laws.
Right.
It's the executive branch's job to enforce it.
Right.
If they're unwilling to enforce it, I don't think that was contemplated by the founding fathers. And so we can pass laws. We can file under some circumstances. We can file lawsuits, and we're looking at ways of finding jurisdiction, because individual Congresspeople don't have jurisdiction to file suits, but perhaps the whole Congress does. And ultimately, we have impeachment as an option for Eric Holder or maybe even the president if we get sufficient evidence that there have been laws broken. But that's not going to go anywhere because it takes 2/3 in the Senate. The House can impeach, but that doesn't remove the Attorney General or the President from office. You've got to have a conviction, a trial, and then eventually a conviction in the Senate. And if you think that's going to happen under Harry Reid.
Well, we learned about the impeachment rules, some of us who were there at that point, back for Bill Clinton. What did you think of the behavior of not your side of the aisle, but some of the Democrats who just came to the defense blindly of the IRS and the commissioner, and one went so far as to say that Congress, the House, and the Republicans have been responsible for just ripping apart the IRS, making it impossible for them to do their job, blaming the government shutdown.
Well, and they're saying the IRS doesn't have the resources to do it. Their method for preserving email to go with comply with the Federal Records Act is to print it out. Now, listen, I used to work in the computer business. It costs between 5 and 8 cents for every page that you print out when you figure paper and toner and all the associated costs. So go down to Amazon, buy a $59 terabyte hard drive, install it in one of your existing servers, and then a terabyte holds, I did the math last night, I think it's 64 million 9-page documents. So that's basically, you'd save $21 million buying a $59 hard drive on Amazon.
I'll tell you, my favorite answer from the IRS commissioner, one of them, I guess, but I think this ranks at the top, was when asked who told you that Lois Lerner's emails were gone, that she threw away the hard drive. He couldn't remember, and one of his excuses was it was reporting season. I got 90,000 employees. It was reporting season.
Well, I ran out of time. The question I didn't get to ask that I wanted to ask was that he testified there were 5 people who reported to him about the Lois Lerner and the hard drive. Give me all 5 names.
Right.
We'll call them up and ask them which one told you.
Congressman, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much. Congressman Blake Farenthold, we're coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on a pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second Spin Mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-518-3953 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call now at 1-800-518-3953.
If you don't have life insurance, a final expense insurance plan pays cash to your family for final and all other expenses. If you're unable to purchase life insurance due to a pre-existing or current medical condition, call us right now for information and a free consultation. Rates will never increase, the policy cannot be canceled, and there are no restrictions on how your beneficiaries can use the money.
Call 1-800-364-1813. 1-800-364-1813.
Now on Newsmax TV. Is there a war on Christianity? Ben Carson says there is and wants you to take a stand. See Dr. Carson on Newsmax TV's Midpoint. Go now to Newsmax TV. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
The chairman asked you, who told you this information? You can't remember?
No, I do not remember.
Was it? Did someone say in person? Did they send you an email? How'd you get the information?
I don't recall. I do not get emails on these subjects, so I'm sure it was someone in person.
This has been a major news story for the last 13 months, and you don't remember who came up to you and said, "Hey, boss, we lost Lois Lerner's emails." You don't even remember anything about that situation.
No, I remember being told in April.
But you don't remember who told you?
I do not recall who told me.
Something that's been a front page story for you would think that would be significant enough to remember how it happened, when they told you, what the actual date was.
Got to remember.
You might even remember where you were standing.
Remember, I'm running an agency with 90,000 people.
And this has been the biggest issue in front of your agency for the last year.
We're in the middle of filing season.
Okay, so here we go. Here we go.
The sun was in my eyes, the wind was blowing, and the dog ate my homework, too. Welcome back, Steve Malzberg Show. Cleta Mitchell now joins us, attorney representing several groups targeted by the IRS. She's with the political law firm of Foley and Lardner. Hello, Cleta.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I got to tell you, what entertainment. I mean, as sad as it was very entertaining, very informative, I believe very telling last night as you're sitting there watching this nonsense, these answers from this IRS commissioner. What are you thinking?
I think that the American people need to look at that guy, listen to him, and think this is the face of statism. It is the face of someone who is a career CEO of major government agencies, and you can tell he doesn't have the slightest concern for the people who pay the bills. That would be us, the taxpayers. He feels absolutely no obligation to the people. His only obligation is to the bureaucrats and the bureaucracy and the agencies he works for. He feels contempt. He not only does he not feel obligation to the people, he has nothing but apparently contempt for their elected representatives. And he doesn't think this is a big deal. That's the thing that's clear. He doesn't think this is a big deal.
Right.
Well, it may not be a big deal to him, but it's a big deal to the American people.
Right, and let's hear some more of that exchange. Here it is.
Who'd you tell? Did you tell the White House?
I never told the White House.
Politico reports you told the White House in April. You didn't tell anyone at the White House?
I don't think that's what Politico reported.
Did you tell anyone at Treasury? Did you tell any of your bosses?
I did not tell anybody. I did not tell anybody at Treasury either.
Did you talk to anyone about this?
No.
Talk to anyone outside the agency about when?
Not outside the agency. I talked in the agency about it. I get.
And then when did you tell Congress?
Pardon?
When did you tell Congress?
We produced the public report 10 days ago.
So you knew in April, and you waited 2 months to tell this body. The body has been looking.
Right. I mean, and then he goes on to ask the question, when does this become obstruction of justice? Which, Cleta, as an attorney, let me ask you, when does this become obstruction of justice?
Well,
because as he pointed out, there was a Justice Department investigation going on here.
Well, supposedly, but look, you got to remember that there's an organization, Z Street, that filed a lawsuit against the IRS on the same basis as our lawsuit for Truth or Vote that was filed in May of 2013. They filed their lawsuit in December of 2010, and that means that the Exempt Organizations Unit is supposed to put a litigation hold on everything, notwithstanding the fact there are federal laws that require the preservation and archiving of these records, as we heard in the hearing this morning. So the agency is lawless. It doesn't think that the laws really apply to it. The IRS thinks that they don't have to abide by the laws that apply to everybody else.
All right, so what does this mean for your clients? What has been accomplished in these hearings? What will be the result of these hearings? Obviously, it's obvious to anybody, watching this with a fair mind, that wrong was done here, whether it was illegal, intentionally illegal, or just total ineptness and incompetence. I can't say, although I have my feelings. But what did this hearing do, or these hearings, what have they done to further your client's cause?
Well, we are going to have to file. We had a call this morning with the lawyers from the Department of Justice on behalf of the IRS and Lois Lerner's lawyers, and we asked for that they would agree to let us send in an independent forensic team to look at all of this, and they refused, and so we're going to file a motion in federal court. We have to hope that the federal judge will understand that this is really important. And the thing that they're all doing, the thing that they're all saying, it's what the Democrats are saying, it's what the Justice Department lawyers are saying. Well, what evidence has been lost? Well, think about that for a moment.
You don't know, right? You don't know.
Exactly. We say 2 years worth of Lois Lerner's emails. They say, well, that's not necessarily evidence. Well, it is discoverable information in civil litigation, and that's what we're going to tell the court.
Yeah, I mean, that question, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but
it's crazy. You don't need to be a lawyer to know that that's crazy.
If there's an investigation of me and I scrub my hard drive or throw it away or recycle it to win an environmental award, which Lois Lerner, I'm convinced, will still get, and then I say, well, what's the evidence I threw away? Well, how's anybody supposed to know it's thrown away?
Well, that's exactly right. And that's what the Democrats say. I did a segment on Sunday with this Democratic shill. I asked him before the show, are you working on this IRS investigation? He said no. He was designated by the House Democrats to come over and talk about the IRS scandal. He's not even working on it.
Who was this, Cleta?
Julian Epstein.
Okay, and what show was this? You remember?
It was on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
And all he kept saying was, well, what's the evidence? There's no evidence. Well, if the dog ate your homework and the homework is gone, where's the homework? It's insane.
It is insane. All right, so what's the next step? So you're going to go to federal court, as you just indicated. Is that the next step, and to try to get your forensic people in there?
That's the only thing we can do at this point. I will say this: I have another client organization that's created what's called the IRS Bounty, irsbounty.com, and they're raising money to pay a reward to anyone who can demonstrate any evidence either leading to the retrieval of these emails or information about the potential intentional destruction of the Lois Lerner emails.
And what should happen to the IRS commissioner in your view, legally speaking, based on the answers he's given? Anything?
I think he should be impeached. I think that we should, the Congress has the right to impeach any federal officer under the Constitution, and I think we ought to impeach him. I think that this is unacceptable, and we have to show at some point that it's unacceptable. But, in order to convict an impeached officer, you have to have control of the United States Senate, and we don't have that. So we have to win in November, and we have to get a different group of people running Washington.
All right, Cleta, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you. Cleta Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen. Impeach the commish. Interesting strategy. It never happened on this Congress, as Cleta explained. But wow, imagine someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Lois Lerner threw away our hard drive." Lois Lerner.
Mom? Mom? Oh, This mom was lucky that her daughter happened to stop by. Can your mom or dad reach a phone in such an emergency? The solution is Life Alert. Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
Linda, thank you for finding Life Alert for me. I feel much safer having it.
Whenever my mother needed help, Life Alert was there.
Because of Life Alert, my mother's life was saved.
Life Alert definitely saved my mother-in-law's life that day. There's no doubt about it.
We save a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes. For a free Life Alert brochure, call 800-954-2339. That's 800-954-2339. Call 800-954-2339.
Funerals are a very difficult thing for a family to go through. Besides the sorrow, loved ones are left with the stress and the high cost of arranging a funeral. That's why Funeral Advantage was formed, to help protect your family from financial hardship. It pays your loved ones up to $20,000 cash immediately for a funeral and any other expenses.
It was easy. There were no long, complicated forms to fill out.
The average funeral can easily cost $9,000 or more, but the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance.
What a relief knowing that my benefits will never be canceled and my rate is locked in for life.
If you're between 40 and 85, call the toll-free number today to get your free information guide. There's no risk or obligation, so call now.
Call 1-800-215-1400. Don't wait. Call now.
If you want to shed the fat and sculpt your body to get that slim, sexy look of your dreams, then you need to stop working out.
Say what?
And start rocking out with Rockin' Body, the fun new body makeover system that was created by fitness expert and Insanity creator Shaun T.
Rockin' Body combines dance and fitness in a fun new way so you can achieve insane weight loss.
I lost 30 pounds dancing.
Now you can tone and tighten your abs, shrink and shape your hips and thighs, and lift and firm your booty, all while you're just dancing.
I've lost 33 pounds. I feel sexy.
And now, for a limited time, the complete $80 Rockin' Body system is 75% off. That's right, Rockin' Body is only $19.95. We'll even upgrade you to express shipping free. Get the complete Rockin' Body system for only $19.95.
Call 1-800-718-8807 or order online at rockinbody.com. 1-800-718-8807. Call now.
I'm Miranda Kahn with your Newsmax Now update. Stand-up comedian Bill Maher is often credited with being a puppet for the liberal media, but his recent comments about President Obama may shock some people.
Obama's always spouting spiritual bull, and I don't believe it for a second. He's a drop-dead atheist, absolutely.
Yes, TV host and political commentator Bill Maher sat down with Jon Stewart of The Daily Show last night and called, as you just heard, President Obama an atheist. In other news, there's good news actually coming from the U.S. Commerce Department today. They say the sale of new homes in America rose to the highest level in 6 years during the month of May. And that's your latest Newsmax Now update. Let's return now to Steve Malzberg and The Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Tim Graham, Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center, will be up next. Now, I want to tell you about a guest that we're going to have on tomorrow, and this is very interesting. There's something called Jihad Cool, according to Brigitte Gabriel, president of Act for America, who will be with us tomorrow. Actually, Thursday. She'll be with us Thursday. And she's documented these recruiting tools that jihadists are using. And they're using it on social media. They're gaining access to the lives of millions of people through the internet. And I want you to look here first. This is a 55. We have an ISIS toy doll, which you should be seeing momentarily. An ISIS toy doll. And that's just one of the things that they're putting out there to, you know, to have mass appeal. Well, maybe there is no such thing as an ISIS toy doll. I don't know. I believe we have it. How about, would you believe, a jihadist? There it is. There's the ISIS toy doll, ladies and gentlemen. Part of Jihad Cool, if you could believe that. And now, how about a nice, you have nothing to wear? How about a jihadist T-shirt? How about a jihadist T-shirt? Would you like that? There you go. Look at that. You got a couple to choose from there. What did you think? What do you think would happen if someone wore that to school? Now, I know you can't wear, like a G.I. Joe T-shirt or a military T-shirt. You think if a kid showed up with this, and I'm not advocating it, at their public school, they'd suffer the same fate as someone wearing a military or an NRA T-shirt? I wonder what would happen there. And then there's the recruiting propaganda videos. Now, I'm not going to play any sound on this, but let's roll this. I'll talk over it. This is it's titled Islamic State Workout Video. There you go. That's what your jihadist does to stay in shape. Not hold the flag, but that's obligatory. There you go. You got your push-ups. Look at that. That's how jihadists stay in shape. Oh, here you go. Rings of fire. Whoa, hoops of fire. That's one. Now number two. Whoa. You know what they should have them do? They should now put them in a supermarket and have them grab all the free food they could get. Oh, my goodness. But this is what's out there. And it's called, it's not funny, because these people want to kill us and kill other people. And it's called Jihad Cool. And great people like Brigitte Gabriel are out there exposing it. And they're out there exposing it, and then they incur the wrath of groups like CARE and others that call them Islamophobes and all kinds of names, and and trash their website. And folks, this isn't made up. What you just saw, I didn't make it up. I didn't create it. It's out there. It exists. And we'll get much more in depth on that on Thursday. Whew, got a little fly here. With Brigitte Gabriel. So I look forward to that. All right, when we come back, Tim Graham, as I mentioned, joins us. And Tim Graham takes to task the president and the first lady for an interview they gave to Parade magazine, where the myth is perpetuated that Obama's single mother raised him almost single-handedly, when if that's not the truth. We're coming back. Don't go away.
It was called the War to End All Wars, but instead it only served as a prelude of worse things to come. It was the world's first universal war, with the nations of the United States, United Kingdom, France, Greece, Italy, Russia, and 19 other countries declaring war on Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, and the other European-based nations. As the wars before it, and those after it, this war would prove to be a long, bloody, and costly conflict. For the first time, chemical weapons were used in organized warfare. In 1915, the Germans unleashed 150 tons of chlorine gas at Ypres, Belgium. Then 2 years later, used mustard gas against the Russians at Riga. World War I also gave birth to a new form of battle called trench warfare. Opposing armies would build elaborate trenches opposite one another, protected by barbed wire. The trenches themselves became havens for disease and life-threatening infections due to poor drainage and sanitation. The area between the opposing armies became known as no man's land because it was fully exposed to artillery and small arms fire from both armies. Attacks, even if successful, often sustained severe casualties for both sides. So when it finally came to an end, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, soldiers from both sides greeted the news with great skepticism. Neither side dared to let themselves believe their long nightmare had finally come to an end, leaving an estimated 8.5 million people dead and some 21 million wounded. The actual peace document, known as the Treaty of Versailles, was not signed until 6 months later, on the 28th of June, 1919. Although the face of the civilized world had forever changed, 21 short years later, history would again repeat itself. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.
Can you really lose weight without changing your lifestyle? LaToya Q did. In fact, in just 5 months, she lost nearly 2 pounds a week without changing the way she dieted or exercised.
I lost 36 pounds and I went down 4 dress sizes.
Like so many people, LaToya didn't want to change her lifestyle to lose weight. Instead, she decided to take America's #1 selling diet pill, Lipozene.
People kept asking me, "Are you you have to be exercising? You're really you just don't want to tell us what you're doing." I was like, "No, I don't have time to go to a gym. I just took Lipozene and I started seeing results immediately."
Lipozene has now sold over 20 million bottles. That's because Lipozene really works. And to prove it, we conducted our very own double-blind clinical study where all we asked people to do was take Lipozene. And by just taking Lipozene, they lost weight. But here's where it gets really exciting. These people were not asked to change their diet or exercise. And 78% of the weight they lost was pure body fat. Not water, fat.
I'm almost back down to my high school weight, so I'm really loving that.
And for even faster results, you can try Lipozene with moderate diet and exercise.
Feels great to have a six-pack. I didn't think I would have it at my age.
I lost 7 inches off of my waist and I lost 2 dress sizes and I feel amazing.
Now you can join the millions of people who have lost weight with Lipozene by trying it risk-free for only $29.95. Lipozene is guaranteed to help you lose weight or your money back.
Lipozene, it works.
But wait, call in the next 10 minutes and we'll double your order absolutely free. Plus, we'll even pay for your shipping. But that's still not all. To celebrate selling over 20 million bottles of Lipozene, the company will give you a free bottle of Metabo Up with your order. That's a $20 value free. But you must call right now because this exclusive free offer is not available in stores.
Call 1-800-509-9436. That's 1-800-509-9436.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
I think with a different administration, one that was a Republican administration, this story would be a national obsession. And instead, it's getting coverage here and a few other places. But it really deserves a lot more questions.
You're agreeing.
Absolutely. If they were targeting Democratic groups and had been a Republican president, I think it would be in the front pages of every newspaper for weeks.
Yeah, what an amazing declaration coming on MSNBC of all places. Welcome back. Joining us now, Tim Graham, our friend and Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
You know, you guys have documented, as you do such a great job documenting all these wonderful things, you've documented the lack of IRS coverage over the many, many months. In fact, it was built up to approaching almost 100 days before, I think, last Friday, when finally the networks acquiesced after Paul Ryan, lost his cool, rightfully so, with the IRS commissioner. And it was revealed, and this was a day after the revelation that Lois Lerner had thrown away the hard drive. That wasn't even news. So to hear Mark Halpern, of all people, who did tell me once that there were death panels and then felt he had to backtrack, to admit that if this was a Republican administration, all hell would be breaking loose, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I think it's obvious, but it is nice to have them admit that. I think that if you had gone back to, let's say, 8 years ago, and we discovered that all the George Soros funded left-wing outfits were trying to defeat George W. Bush in 2004 were all denied their tax exemptions by Bush's IRS, and suddenly they said all the emails had been destroyed, the ones that the Congress wanted. I think we understand that would be a massive story. And that's, there's lots of stories in the Bush years you could look at that would seem pretty tiny. I would just nominate them firing 7 U.S. attorneys, which they made an enormous scandal out of that. And of course, Bill Clinton came into office and fired
much more,
and they didn't even cover it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. Now you're bringing back all these memories. Oh my goodness. But you're absolutely right. Do you think that this is going to have legs going forward, or just where it's already had legs?
I never presume, 6 hours from now or 2 days from now, they're still going to cover it. I do think that the things that we've learned are serious and newsworthy, and we'll keep trying to insist where it's newsworthy to say they should be covering it. But yeah, it is good. Obviously, the Republicans having hearings and yelling at the IRS commissioner a little bit did work. And I think what really worked here is what Paul Ryan said, which was the IRS wouldn't let the average taxpayer get away with, oh, I'm sorry, I lost 2 years of tax records.
Yeah. Everybody
understands that that's what's wrong here. And that's what I think compelled them, sort of shamed them into giving it some attention.
Yeah, no, very, very, very true. That brought it home, and that related it to the average American. All right, let's move on. I saw your piece, and I was so glad that you wrote it. The president and Michelle Obama gave an interview to Parade magazine, and he put forth this myth, and that his mother was the sole or primary breadwinner of the family, when, as you point out, his very successful grandmother played a huge part in raising him and providing for him, correct?
Well, look, it's the idea that they're trying to sell, which is, we understand that he had a single mother. The problem with the scenario is that he didn't live with the single mother a lot of his childhood. He spent a lot of his childhood in Hawaii while his mother was in Indonesia. So, yeah, what Parade tried to do, the way they sold it in this Sunday magazine that goes to newspapers all over the country, was, just like Obama's mother, there's a lot of families where the sole breadwinner is the mom. And that's the sort of thing where liberals get very upset at the idea that someone would ask for Obama's birth certificate. That was never a good question. That was established. But there's all kinds of these details of Obama's upbringing that they regularly mangle to make a political point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's repeated this, although he has tempered it. I heard one interview, although he gave so many over the weekend, he might have repeated it over and over without giving a qualifier. He did bring up his grandmother in one of the interviews over the weekend. We were talking about the single mom issue and all that. But then there's Michelle. Michelle had a sweetheart of a job at a hospital in Chicago, and I read them belly aching about how women aren't good negotiators, women don't make enough money, and me, and I'm thinking, what? And you pointed that out in the piece.
Yeah, they had basically suggested that Michelle Obama was a role model because she asked for more money. Well, in reality, she was paid 6 figures to work at the University of Chicago Hospital, got the job basically as her husband was heading into the U.S. Senate. Then suddenly her salary gets tripled. And, oh, what a great negotiator you are. Well, again, part of this is he was a U.S. senator. He had the ability to bring government money to this hospital. And again, this would be the sort of thing that would be a news story. But what happens is, instead of that, the news media are so credulous that they turn around and sell this as, oh, Mrs. Obama, she's so savvy.
Yeah, and I remember that. I remember a lot of scrutiny on talk radio at the time, of which I was participating in, over that job and over the tripling of the salary, and what did she do to earn that? What changed with the job? How did that happen? And and really, from my memory, nobody could really come up with any justification for that kind of salary, for that kind of job, and the tripling of the salary. It's not like she took on triple the responsibility. So yeah, and it did coincide with him entering the U.S. Senate. You're absolutely right. All right, well, good job in a great piece, and you can check out that, folks, at newsbusters.org and check out Tim Graham's piece there. All right, the New York Times has themselves a brand new writer, a new reporter, and very curious history for that person.
Well, maybe they don't expect that these things come out, but the Washington Post reported on the New York Times in this case, and that is they have a new reporter/intern who uses the byline Theodore Schleifer, known as Teddy on Twitter, and he has, in 2012, he worked for the Obama campaign as an intern in the speechwriting shop, and has several other jobs interning in the communications area for Democratic politicians, including the governor of Delaware. And, it's just one of those things now where you can rotate directly in from the Obama-Biden campaign to being a quote-unquote objective, reporter intern at the New York Times. And just to hear them try to suggest, well, we don't see how this represents an appearance issue, as they send this guy down to Mississippi to report on the Republican primary there. Obviously, I think Republicans will look at that sort of a background and say, I don't think we're getting an objective reporter on this campaign. And they just don't care about appearances anymore. I think that's the sad thing.
Yeah.
Picking from Chelsea Clinton and her $600,000 salary to George Stephanopoulos, et cetera, there's just no real dividing line between Democratic politics and the so-called objective liberal media.
Where do you think Carney's going to wind up? Well,
you'll remember, Carney was at Time Magazine for 20 years, and I think that, or almost 20 years. So I'm guessing he's not going to go directly back into liberal media. He was a print guy, he wasn't a TV guy.
Right.
He'd be a little bit like an Ari Fleischer, that he'll get a nice consulting job and he'll show up on TV to sort of stick up, be that pundit for Obama's legacy.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, he won't go back to print. He might write a book. I'm sure he'll give plenty of speeches, and TV's the way for him. All right. So there was this great march, the March for Marriage, a pro-traditional marriage march in Washington, and of course, that's not news either.
Well, I think that the liberal media has a problem with the idea that conservatives can hold a protest. We see this every year with the March for Life on the abortion issue in every January. And a lot of times, the New York Times simply decides that they're not going to cover it. Hundreds of thousands of people can march in January weather in Washington, D.C., and the New York Times says, And what's funny is you can, I've written about how 4 illegal aliens marching from Miami to Washington, they did that story, but tens of thousands of people marching for abortion, no. In this particular case, thousands of people come to Washington to march for marriage between a man and a woman, and the New York Times says that's not a story. Instead, we're going to lead the national section with the Presbyterian Church USA saying yes to gay marriages. So the pro-gay story is news, and what they call the anti-gay story is something they're just not going to do.
It couldn't be more blatant. It couldn't be more obvious, and it really doesn't seem to affect them. But we got about 30 seconds. I guess they've weathered the storm with the the female problem they had, shall we call it?
Which one now?
Well, their editor who got bounced.
Oh yes, with Jill Abramson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's the same old thing. The New York Times is the same old thing. That if it pleases the liberals, it's news. If it pleases the conservatives, did something happen?
No. Absolutely not. Nothing happened. All right, Tim, always great to see you and speak with you, sir.
Thanks.
Tim Graham, ladies and gentlemen, Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center, here on the Steve Malzberg Show and newsbusters.org. Just a great place to document all the media bias, and they do document it, believe you me. Coming up next, Give Me 5 on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention! Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that's broken? Now there's a Medicare and private insurance benefit that may fix your broken wheelchair. You need to call the experts at the Precision Repair Network. We're the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. Call us 24/7. We'll come to you anywhere in the United States. We'll even give you a loaner to use if necessary. So call right now.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Are you a man over 40 and feeling tired, losing muscle, have less romantic drive? Then call now for the Ageless Male free testosterone giveaway. Every man who calls in the next few minutes will receive a free 30-day supply of Ageless Male. Ageless Male has ingredients clinically shown to increase free testosterone levels, and that supports muscle health, boosts romantic drive, and supports energy metabolism. Your free 30-day supply is waiting for you.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Time I just referred to Paul Ryan's outburst on Capitol Hill to the head of the IRS over these lost drives and lost emails with regard to targeting Tea Party groups. This is the story that doesn't go away for President Obama. No direct evidence of wrongdoing, but this is not great competence here in management when you can't find missing emails.
Oh, what an admission from David Gregory over the weekend on Meet the Press. Welcome to Give Me Five. And he had a panel, and his panel weighed in, and I want you to listen carefully as you watch to what they had to say.
Well, I think that Americans right now have a real sense of cynicism because they feel like there's a set of rules for the average citizen and then a set of rules for the powerful and the politically connected. And I think a lot of people know if they were being audited by the IRS and they said, I simply lost all the documentation.
How would that go?
I think they would not find it very sympathetic here.
Yeah.
All right. Now, E.J. Dionne has a, shall we call it, a slightly different take. Watch.
The problem with the IRS story is the IRS was trying to do what needs to be done, which is there is an abuse of the 501c4 status. You should not have all these political groups getting that status. That's what they were trying to fix. Then there were all kinds of stories about how were they targeting. It turned out they weren't as partisan in their targeting.
Really? Really? They're just doing their job and they weren't as partisan in their targeting? Really? Where does E.J. Dionne get that information from? I wonder. I'd like to hear his statistics. I'd like to see the list that E.J. Dionne has in his possession, because that's not what I've been hearing from the people who are suing the IRS and know the actual facts. More.
And I actually believe in the government it is quite possible that incompetence rather than conspiracy led to this. But, you know, put yourself on the other side. If this happened in a different administration, everybody, you know, I can imagine what Democrats would say. So it's very inconvenient incompetence if it's incompetent.
Well, I'm glad to hear him say that. He believes it's incompetence. And it's either inconvenient incompetence or, here's the deal. Either it's incompetence at a level heretofore unseen in recent times in federal government, as incompetent as federal government has been, or it's purposeful law breaking. And either way, I mean, the law breaking would be worse, but either way, it ain't good. It ain't good. And E.J. Dionne is right, of course, that if this were a Republican administration, the Democrats and the media, he left that part out, would be going nuts in a way that you haven't seen since maybe Watergate. Okay, now we switch gears here to Mark Halpern on MSNBC, and he, well, you listen.
The missing emails involve several top IRS employees, including Lois Lerner, who was in charge of the agency's tax-exempt unit.
You say really quickly, this is a test for the media. Why do you say that, Mark Halpern?
Because when any government agency, particularly one as powerful as the IRS, engages in something that even people sympathetic to the administration say looks weird and suspicious, it's incumbent upon all the national media to aggressively ask more questions. The Republicans in Congress are asking questions.
Wow. Yeah. Republicans in Congress are asking questions, and as you've seen, many of the Democrats in Congress are saying, well, they're actually apologizing for the Republicans asking questions. And for Mark Halpern to say this, it's good. Mark Halpern is the one who I broke the story with several months ago who said, yeah, there are death panels. And then he said, well, I never said the words death panels. No, but I did, and you said yes. Anyway, so sometimes he lets his honesty, win out. And that's a good thing. Here's one more.
I think with a different administration, one that was a Republican administration, this story would be a national obsession. And instead, it's getting coverage here and a few other places. But it really deserves a lot more questions.
You're agreeing.
Absolutely. If they were targeting Democratic groups and had been a Republican president, I think it would be in the front pages of every newspaper for weeks.
Yeah, everybody agrees. This is great. To hear it even from E.J. Dionne, who thinks that this is just incompetence, to hear it from Mark Halpern, to hear it from the panel on MSNBC. So my question then is, why aren't they covering it more? Where is the investigative reporting by a Mark Halpern, who's perfectly capable of it, and the others? Why isn't it happening? That's a question I'd like to have addressed. First, you got to ask it on the Steve Malzberg Show.